everybody for being here this weekend, and also everybody at home that's watching us on TORC.com. We're just a few moments away from going back to going back to pro racing. It will be the Imperial Tire Pro Light coming up first, and that's just a few moments away.
Are you afraid of monsters? These guys are. Don't be fooled by the cheeky grin and the flowing blonde locks. This guy will eat you for lunch. He even has a warning blazoned across his chest. CJ Greaves is a monster in an off-road truck. At 21 years old, he's already mastered a perfect weekend twice in his career. That's 4 wins in 2 days. Every time he strapped in at the new breathtaking ERX Motor Park, he unbuckled to climb on top of the podium. Keegan Kincaid is putting all his might towards slaying the monster in Pro 2-wheel drive, even destroying his own truck in the process. The monster's father couldn't subdue him in Pro 4-wheel drive at ERX. Will this weekend's Bark River Battleground, a track where Johnny has hundreds of laps of experience, be the deciding factor in this epic conflict of father and son? As if that weren't enough, there's also intense combat raging in the Pro Light division. It's an all-out war for the top spot, and the high speeds and huge jumps of Bark River are the perfect arena for the battle to continue waging. We've got monsters on the loose and warriors ready for battle. The fight begins now for TORC, the off-road championship from Bark River International Raceway.
An absolute beautiful day for racing. Bluebird skies, a slight breeze, thousands of fans in the stands in Bark River, Michigan for TORC, the off-road championship presented by AMSOIL. Hello everyone, welcome to the Throwdown the UP. I'm Robbie Floyd and welcome to Bark River. And I will be joined by two different guests this week. Luke Johnson, the Pro Light driver, but first let's talk about the three-time TORC Series champion, the Pro 4-Wheel Drive, Johnny Greaves. Johnny, good to have you here, but what is it about Bark River that makes this place so special?
Well, you put aside the 300 volunteers that come out here and make this all happen, and you take a look at the 10+ road graders that are ready to make this track beautiful. I mean, 5 water trucks, they got everything they need. Then a guy like me gets in the seat of that Pro 4, and I go out practice, and it's the most beautiful dirt, absolutely groomed, off camber, rolling hills, bank turns.
You get to live a dream, don't you?
Oh man, you just come off the track and you got the biggest smile on your face, and you're ready to go racing.
And the talent we'll see. We've seen great racing in the Pro 2-Wheel Drives and the Pro 4s, which you'll see Johnny in today. But the Arturo Tire Pro Light, a lot of young guns in this class. I think the future looks bright.
It sure does. You know, you can't count out Sean Morris, the old guy who handed it to all these guys in Minnesota 2 weeks ago. But yeah, the young guys, they're running hard, they're hitting their marks, they're pushing the envelope every day. And yeah, it definitely looks like a great stepping stone.
A lot of 20-somethings and very aggressive. And the guy who's been leading them all up to this point has been Kyle Hart. Katie Osborne caught up with him earlier.
Yeah, a guy who nearly had a perfect start to this season. These last couple of races, though, have kind of taken a toll on you. What's been the real problem?
Well, we struggled in the restart in Crandon, and we ended up breaking a tie rod mount and gave us a flat. So we ended up at the tail of the field at like 10th, and then at ERX. We had a flat the first day, but we were able to work back to 3rd, so that was good. But the second day, we were running on 6 cylinders, and with these guys on 8, you can't do it. But we ended up to salvage a 5th, and we lost a good amount of points, but we still have, I think, an 11-point lead. So we just got to stay consistent and stay strong the rest of the year. And Dinsmore, he's been running good all year, so it's going to be a battle to the end.
So you know what you have to do, but what is your mindset coming into here, knowing that it's been a little bit challenging?
You know, that's part of it. That's stuff that's out of our control, and I think that I've done my job. We've been fast. Everywhere we went, we've been the truck to beat. So if we can just keep the truck together and keep me going in the right direction, I think luck's got to go our way.
All right, guys, Kyle Hart.
Hoping to turn things around after some bad luck, as you see the drivers starting to line up for the Arturo Tire Pro Light. Even the Pro 2 starting to line up as well. But in that field, you see the Kenda Tire truck. There he goes, taking off the winner of the last round at ERX Motor Park, Sean Morris. And he's going to be the guy to look for, because everybody always looks towards the winner of the last race. And now, Johnny Greaves, you get to see it from a different perspective. Instead of being inside the truck, you get to look at it on monitor and watch the best the Pro Light has to offer.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely a different view. I'm actually nervous up here. I got little butterflies watching these guys. So I'm excited, man. We got a good lineup. I'm really excited for Jake Lunderby. You know, this is the first time we've seen him, you know, in that top 5. He finally qualified good. I know the kid's got some talent, but man, he's surrounded by some hungry young guys there all around.
You know all about the Lunderby truck as well, and Jake, where does he work in the shop as well? I know CJ has a lot to do with his program.
Yeah, so Jake's a good young guy. He came from Montana, you know, came out to race, and you know, his sponsorship program that he had didn't work out so good. So you know, we kind of took him under our wing. It's our old truck. We let him, you know, work out of our shop. We do what we can for him now, and you know, see what he can do. Hopefully he can hang in there and get a podium out of this. He really needs it, because we need him around.
And for the fans watching at home, yes, Johnny Greaves is going to be racing in the Pro 4-Wheel Drive a little bit later. The Series Points leader wants to get in that truck here shortly. Luke Johnson will hop in the booth immediately following the Pro 2-Wheel Drive race. But again, I'd like to welcome everybody watching at home and around the world at TORCseries.com. We will also have the Fox Sports Show, and I know a lot of people have been tuning into that. And this has been one of the most impressive races or racing classes that we've seen. And this is one of the best tracks you will see anywhere in the country or the world, for that matter. Look at the terrain change. That's just one little uphill, downhill section of this course.
Yeah, I mean, this track is like I said in the earlier show or shot, well, you know, you come here and by the time you get down with practice, you have this huge smile on your face because you just had so much fun. It flows so nice when you're out there. You know, I went over there and talked to Corey Weller. It's her first experience here, and I said, "What do you think?" And she's like, "Man, once you get a few laps and you put it all together, it does. It flows and everything connects, and it's a blast."
And they're taking the long way around as well, the extended portion. Sometimes they will take the little cut off. For those of you at home that aren't familiar, you're basically looking almost from the cemetery, a cemetery turn. And look at all the campers, all the RVs. Everybody loves this race weekend. You could not ask for a more perfect day as far as weather's concerned. There they are, the starting grid for the Turo Tire Pro Light Division, led by Kyle Kleiman and Kyle Hart. Kyle looking for another win this season. Kyle trying to get back on track, like he just said, but you can't really do anything about those mishaps with malfunctions as he's had on his truck. Sean Morris and Jake Lunderby to look for on the second row. Morris coming off of that victory in Minnesota.
Yeah, and then you got Luke Johnson, Cam Reimers. Both of them guys have been running really tough lately.
Bobby Runyon fast as well.
Runyon.
He had some mechanicals, had a hood fly up, or he'd have had a podium, had another breakage, had a wheel break on him at ERX, so that might have cost him a podium as well. Andrew Cossack, Andrew Carlson, another one to look for. Carlson winning in Minnesota, trying to do the same thing here at Bark River. Travis Dinsmore, maybe the other top fast driver in there. We've had 5 different winners so far in the Turo Tire Pro Light. When they make the flagging stand, there will be a little acceleration zone. You'll see one cone and then another. That's the point when you can get on the throttle. We'll be seeing 4 different races today: Pro Lights, Pro 2-wheel drives, Pro 4-wheel drives, and some highlights of the UTVs. So the flagger will start the race. They'll take this little left-hand bend. The safety truck will pull off, and then it's up to that inside driver, Kyle Kleiman, in the 42 to lead the field. The kid out of Wilson, Michigan. Green means go. It's time to start. It's a downhill left hand there, going into a right-hand turn next.
Yeah, it's looking like a clean start. Nobody played any games off the line. Everybody got off clean.
Ooh, Johnson with a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Johnson in the 14 back there, a former winner here, won last year at Bark River. And you see Kyle Kleiman. Now the thought process, Johnny, especially when you know that Kyle Hart's behind you, you just want to check out and not worry about that guy. You don't want to be banging bars or, as you will, fiberglass in this race.
Well, you know, Kyle's a really aggressive young driver, and he drives that car hard. If it was me on these opening laps, I would just make sure, do not make a mistake, because that kid's going to take advantage of it, and you give him clean air, and I'm afraid he's going to check out. So
you want high speed? I think they've got it right here. Look at this, the first lap, and oh, a face full of roost. The guys talked about just how much roost they were getting in Minnesota, but here that looks like he got a cabin full.
Oh yeah, the roost here is unbelievable. You know, it's like getting a dump truck load just poured on your lap. You know, sometimes at the yellow you're sitting there shoveling it off your lap, you know, just to take the weight off you. But both these guys looking good and clean. The track looks beautiful right now.
Fairly smooth too. We don't see the big bumps that we saw in Minnesota. There with that softer dirt, you have to have a different program between Minnesota and here, don't you?
Oh yeah, I mean this track honestly.
Oh, it looks like Cam Reimer's spinning around. You're going the wrong way, son. Got to turn it around. 10-lap race. He's still got time to work his way through the field. It's Luke Johnson and Travis Dinsmore now going at it. Now talk about the difference between Minnesota and here as far as truck setup.
Yeah, you know, this is a little bit more of like a Crandon setup. It's got a hard base. It's got that little bit of loose soil on, so it gets a cushion out there. So obviously Minnesota had that really deep dirt, and you had traction. You could run it. Nice move by Luke Johnson. Just dives to the inside.
Whoa, where did that tire come from? It looks like that was off the track, so somebody must have clipped it and rolled around. Luke trying to shut the door there. Both drivers, I think Dinsmore got the worst end of that deal. Both of those guys going low to high, high to low, and sometimes you're going to have to meet in the middle. Yeah,
I think Dinsmore was trying to give Luke some of his own medicine there. Luke did a nice slide job on the inside, and Dinsmore drove back in, and it didn't work out.
And no contact was made when Johnson got by Dinsmore, and that's the one thing, and I learned this going from motocross into dirt track car racing. If you give me that inside on dirt, I'm going to take it. Don't give me the inside if you don't want me to go underneath it.
Oh, especially in these opening laps, you know, it's best to try to get your passes made while everybody's close and together and not all spread out. So, yeah, that's exactly it. Right here, you're going to see Johnson trying to get on Kleiman. See how he does on the inside. He just holds it there, keeps climbing out the floor. And I think he should have the upper hand going in here.
But now you have a left-hand turn, and Les Johnson can close the door and kind of shut the door, and that is exactly what he does. Cody Kleiman on that Cooper Tire Ponzi machine drops back a spot. Luke Johnson is working his way up, and Johnson has won this race a couple of times. He said every time that he's won, he's done it from 5th place starting or worse. With more on Luke Johnson, let's go down to Kate Osborne.
You know, one of the things that Luke told me earlier today is that this track is very different as it changes from day to day. And he said it's much different than it was last year. His example was one day you go to work and you bring a hammer. Well, here it doesn't work to bring that same hammer or even a bigger hammer that next day. It's one of those tracks you may need a screwdriver. And really his point was this is an ever-changing track. You don't know what you're going to get. And even though you may have run here well before, it doesn't mean you're going to do that again.
Wait. What do you think about that, Johnny? Did you bring your tool belt this week?
I brought a big hammer because I got a little blonde monster. I need to pound some lumps in if I get a chance.
Yeah, you're gonna bring the sledgehammer because he's been bringing it every week and he's closing in on you on points. But look at this. Kyle Hart in 2nd place behind Kyle Kleiman in the Ponzi truck number 42 has led from start to these first 3 laps. But I'm not sure that Kyle Hart is really pressuring too much. You know, like you said, there's a little separation. Let's just let it breathe for just a second. Yeah, and typically, you know, if you feel comfortable staying in 2nd for a while and letting some of the wetness blow off the top of the track, you're a lot better off because you can use up all your tear-offs real quick in this race, and you come to the yellow and no tear-offs, and now you got to go to battle, and you know you kind of put yourself in a tough position. Yeah, so I think Kyle's just hanging out. He's yep, he's hanging on 2 wheels right there. But yeah, it's hard to race if you can't see. Let's go down to Kid Osborne.
One thing that Kyle Hart told me earlier, he was like, this is one of those classes that really anybody can win in it. And I asked him if he was kind of nervous coming in knowing that there was expectations set for him. And he says, yeah, I'm always nervous. This is one of those classes that really anybody can win on any given day. This is a very, very talented class of pro lights.
Yes, it is. And you're looking at 2 winners in the 2016 season right now. Kyle Kleiman out in front. He won in Chicago. He won the 1st round in Chicago. The guy who won the 2nd round in Chicago is right behind him, Kyle Hart. Yeah, and Kyle Kleiman's a local boy, so he's got a lot of friends and family up there, and he wants to show them he's here to stay and, you know, get himself another win. I literally talked to him about 20, 25 minutes ago, and he says, it's amazing I'm going as fast. I said, man, you're looking good this year. He said, yeah, but the consistency. He says, the truck's not where we want it. I'm like, really? He said, yeah, the shock's only working about half as much as it could. He said, before we even start, the shock's already halfway down in its travel. They need to kind of move that shock location, but right now it seems to be working pretty well. Yeah, this is one of those tracks where it doesn't demand a perfect setup. You can get away with being a little bit off. You know, the jumps that are out there, yeah, you need a truck that can recover from it, but if it's not perfect, it's not going to sneak up and bite you. The consistency of Kyle Kleiman has been the problem. He would take a win, followed up with a 4th and 5th. He's finished 8th, at Crandon. Elk River, too, a 4th place finish. So coming off of 4s and 5s, but he's out in front here, just really holding his ground. He looks a lot like Sean Morris at the last round. You don't know what's going on behind you if you just run your race out in front. Now we're starting to see a little bit more pressure from Kyle Hart as we're heading into this last lap. Do you wait right now if you're Kyle and take your chances in the restart, or do you want to make this pass before the cross flags? You know, as a racer, if I get a chance to be in front at the restart, I want it. And here Kyle might give him opening. We'll see what happens. At the bottom of this hill, I think you're going to see outside, inside by Hart. And that really, the setup by Kyle Hart that time, he was nose down, but he went ahead and initiated his turn very early like you have to do. Now he's got to cut to the inside. I think he's got it, don't you? And keep it there and keep climbing from getting back underneath. Well, and look how he was set up, and he just couldn't get the drive, couldn't get that forward bite. It's really, like I said, the track shines off on the inside, and it's really hard to, you know, keep up that speed there if Kyle's got a good run in the cushion where he did. So it looks like only a few more turns. Kyle Kleiman. It's tough when you have 2 Kyles out in front. But Kyle Kleiman leads Kyle Hart, the Ponzi truck, ahead of the Maxxis entry. Number 42 leading the 41, both out in the bluff. Kyle Hart almost going off the track. He has to make an adjustment. One hard left-hand turn. It's a 10-lap race. Call it the halfway mark. We're halfway through the Arturo Tires Pro Light. We'll find out if Kyle Kleiman can hold on, or will the series points leader Kyle Hart be able to make a pass in his restart. We re-rack and restack. We'll be back with more right after this.
AMSOIL offers the next level performance enthusiasts demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond protection it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Brakes on the left and the right. You got this? Get your brake levers ready? Okay. Go ahead, Cash.
We know dirt. Maxxis tires.
Welcome back to TORC, the Off-Road Championship, presented by AMSOIL. We're in Bark River, Michigan for the throwdown in the UP. It always gets me. Oh, look at that shot. You're kidding me. Our drone going underneath the finish line arch. That man's good. Real good. As, what was his name in Coming to America? That boy good. I wish all I could remember, Randy Watson. But the Arturo Tire Pro Light about to start the second half of this race. It was a great first half of the race for Kyle Kleiman as he leads Kyle Hart. 1-2, Sean Morris in third. The race winner back in Minnesota trying to go back-to-back. Lunderby and Carlson rounding out the top 5. Luke Johnson, the defending winner of this race, outside just barely. He's in 6th place. You see him. Green means go. 5 laps down, 5 more to go.
Oh, Kyle Hart gets a little sideways coming off that restart.
And just behind him, Sean Morris. Lunderby trying to stick a nose in. Morris in that blue truck, Kenda Tire entry, the Maxxis 41 of Kyle Hart. Boy, somebody lit the wick under Kyle Kleiman. He is trying to check out for this race. He's been unchallenged. A little bit of a challenge from Kyle Hart. Hart really seems to be setting up those turns earlier. Let's go down to Kate Osborne.
Well, for Sean Morris, ERX was basically a fairy tale for him. It was one of those races that it was just so emotionally wonderful, winning the Pro Lights race there. Coming into here at Bark River, I was asking him if it was something that was a bout of confidence, and he says it truly made the difference for him as a driver. It's been really outstanding to kind of come in here with a different world. Plus, he feels that Bark River and ERX kind of have some similarities. Guys, what do you think? Are they pretty similar?
You know, actually the layouts are real similar. I mean, you got the 2 hills you're going over, and the turns are kind of big and open and sweepy, and then you get a little bit of this, you know, rolling whoopty section. So they're similar in layout, but when it comes to driving them in dirt and everything, man, I mean, ERX is a whole different animal. But yeah, as far as that goes, you know, the natural training and everything is really a special deal when it comes to those 2 tracks.
Lunderby starting to put pressure on Sean Morris. Lunderby, the 55 entry out of Sidney, Montana. The Lunderby Trucking Maxxis entry. You're seeing Andrew Carlson battling it out with Luke Johnson. Now it looks like Johnson has moved up into 5th spot, but they are well behind. They're like 14 seconds behind the leader after that last lap. Quickest lap of the race right now, the 42 of Kyle Kleiman, a 1:24.37. Now in practice, the fastest lap was turned during qualifying by Kyle Hart at 1:27, so it's quicker than it was earlier today.
Yeah, now Kyle Hart just laid down the new fastest lap. So, oh, and Luke Johnson pushing a little hard. Goes off the top of that hill. Back on moto style.
The Brop.
Off we go.
I heard him say Brop right when he was there, but he was not happy about that. And now it looks like a yellow truck going to the inside there. Is that Cam Reimer? Sure does look like it. Cam Reimer's trying to take over position. Look at the dust, and he leans into Cody Kleiman. And you talk about the vision problems for these guys. How do you race when you can't see? This is the dust we've seen all season.
Yeah, that's definitely a tough deal in that back section because, you know, the way you got to ride that cushion out on that edge and you're out there so long, it's like the dust never clears and you're basically driving blind there. We had a similar situation at Crandon. Now, my fear is they're going to see that and then now we're going to have an overwatered track for the rest of the races, which, you know, it's a give and take. I mean, it's hard to say what you'd rather have, but.
All right, with more on the kid from Sidney, Utah, Jake Lunderby, let's go to Kate Osborne.
You know, Johnny, I was talking to Jake earlier when I popped my head into his pit, and he said he's really trying to get his mojo back. Now, you guys work really closely with him. He works with you guys in the shop. What was he exactly talking about and inferring as he related to his mojo?
Well, you know, he's had some really good runs lately and came through the pack and it has been a challenger, got on the podium. You know, then at ERX, he just struggled. And I really thought that would have been a track for him. But, you know, he's really emotional. And the kid works so hard and does this all by himself. He comes here by himself, preps the truck, loads the truck, unloads it, and so it means a lot to him to do good.
And for those of you watching at home, what would you be doing at 21 years of age? Taking a big wreck for Luke Johnson, goes off into the fence, and his dad, Johnny's filling in. Ricky Johnson typically with us, and he might have high center there. No, he's able to pull out. He's went off the track a couple of times today. He said he was just driving like an idiot in practice today, or qualifying practice, and that thing's crab walking. He's not going to be any happy about it. Let's find out what happened to Luke. Oh, he rolled a few times. That's why it didn't just run off the track. And that's coming after that big uphill, downhill section.
Yeah, that's where he made a mistake the last lap. So he's definitely struggling on that section. I think he's pushing it a little hard. You know, I experienced that in practice. You can really get a good run up going up that hill for some reason this year. And it's a little peaked up on the top. So you jump way farther than you anticipate. You catch that berm. You know, we saw that with Mark Kwame in practice. Caught that berm, rolled over in practice and stopped it. And I think that's what probably has happened to Luke.
Unfortunate for Luke Johnson, and hopefully that bike is or that truck is all right. And Travis Dinsmore off the track, the 43, having some bad luck. The safety crew over there with him, looks like he might have a fire, or where there's smoke, there's generally fire. And he gets out of that truck, and he was the fastest guy, and Kyle Hart talked about him at the top of the show. That's the guy he's been looking for, and we might have a chance. Way hard, and that just, was he trying to find something, or he was turning into that truck, didn't want to turn?
I think that corner just has gone so blue groove. Now they're going to have to set up real early and just keep it hung in that cushion the whole time, because there's no grip to turn anymore.
And looking at points, also Kyle Hart has an advantage of what, 26-point advantage, I believe. No, it's dropped down to 11 now. I forgot after that disappointment in Minnesota, down to 11 points. And it's really going to be a good point day as it stands right now, because his closest rival, Travis Dinsmore, is off the track.
Yeah, that's too bad for Dinsmore. I mean, he's really running strong, and I think the end of the year he would have put on a real run, because he runs really good at Crandon, and I expected him to run really good here, but fortunately it looks like they experiencing something.
All right, does Kyle Hart have something for Kyle Kleiman with a less than 2 laps, almost 1 more lap to go? Does he have something for him? He's putting on a lot of pressure.
Yeah, you know, if he's playing the waiting game, he's waiting too long. There's a white flag.
1 more lap to prove himself. Who is the fastest Kyle? Is it Kyle Kleiman for his 2nd victory of the season, or will Kyle Hart, the series points leader, put the pressure on when he doesn't necessarily have to possibly win this championship?
This turn right here is going to mean a lot. And Kyle Kleiman has to just keep it right on that cushion, which he's doing a beautiful job right now. He gets, they both make the exact same mistake. That was Hart's opportunity, and I think he just gave Kleiman a little too much room now. It's going to be tough, and Hart's looks like he might be overdriving it now that he made that mistake. So I think if Kyle Kleiman just keeps it cool, runs clean lines, it looks like he might have this one.
And what do you say if you're the spotter? And just what Johnny just said, run your lines, keep it cool. You've got 1 more turn. Hold your position, don't overdrive it, and you're going to take the 2nd victory. Here he is, a big left-hand sweeping turn. Clear, there we go, 2 more turns. This is the start-finish.
Yeah, so he's got to make it through this next turn, and then I think he can cover the track. It's going to take a miracle to make a pass in this next section. But
right,
they're both making small mistakes. I think, you know, there's just nothing down low, so they're running that cushion so hard, and that cushion seems to be pretty heavy. Yeah.
Now he has 1 more turn. A little bit of a blue groove there, but I see smooth sailing, and yes, it is his 2nd victory. The checker flag comes out for Kyle Kleiman. A wire-to-wire victory, besting the series points leader. Kyle Hart's going to finish in 2nd. A distant 3rd, some 8 seconds back is Sean Morris. We'll hear from him after a bit.
When it comes to guarding your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance enthusiasts demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond protection it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Let's bring the truck in, we'll swap those tires out so we can get you going down the road.
What would happen if a side-by-side had more power than it ever needed, a smoother ride than ever expected, and as much storage and customization as a pickup truck? Where would you take a side-by-side like that? Where would it take you? Step behind the wheel of the new Bad Boy Stampede 900 4x4 with 80 horsepower and see for yourself what would happen.
Everyone has their daily routines. Some of us thrive on adventure, the thrill, even just a little family time. We live for the weekend. Whatever your passion, Kenda Tires is there for you. Kenda Tires, designed for your journey.
Welcome back to all of our fans watching online. The TORC Off-Road Championship presented by AMSOIL. Quite an exciting race. Good for some, not so good for others. Namely, Luke Johnson, not so stoked, and I'm sure his dad, Ricky Johnson, at a GRC event across the country, was watching that all along. And Luke said he drove like an idiot in practice. I'm sure he's not going to be happy with the way he drove in that one as well. It's tough to tell yourself to back down at times.
It is, and this is one of those tracks where you really, I mean, the old saying, slower is faster. This is one of those tracks. It's so easy to overdrive. You know, everybody I try to help, you know, getting their lines down. Kenny Mosh, who won this super buggy, he's a friend of mine that just got into it, and you know, we drove around the track and looked at everything, and I'm like, okay, off this jump, you need to just let off the gas, let the car roll off. Don't land sideways or you'll screw up the next two turns. You know, the track flows, but you got to figure out the flow.
As the drivers have a new exit point, I guess you could say, off of the track and go up to the top up there into the crowd. You hope to be up there first. A little bit later in the Pro 4-wheel drive, Johnny Greaves is the voice you are hearing, in case you are wondering. Sitting in for the Pro Lights and Pro 2-wheel drives. And Luke Johnson, I'll get to hear from him a little bit later. Forgot about that. So we're going to step aside for just a bit and be back with our top three of the Atturo Tire Pro Light division.
TORC, the Off-Road Championship, is brought to you by AMSOIL, devoted to protection. Maxxis Tires, we know dirt. And by Cooper Tires. We make tires for people, not just cars.
What a race, a wire-to-wire victory here at Bark River, and he does it again, taking his second victory. Kyle Kleiman. Kate Osborne has it.
Kyle, this is a big win for you with the hometown crowd. You have everybody here, it seems like it's cheering you on. That was a battle of the Kyles, though. It was pretty incredible. How did you hold him off?
I was just trying to be consistent like I've been all year. Had my up and downs, but it felt good. It's a hometown track, so I had a little special push to get up here, that's for sure. I can't do it without this hometown crowd, Ponzi especially, Cooper Tires, those guys are huge. J&H, Pro Power, everybody, AMSOIL, thank you. TORC for hosting this event, it's awesome. Thank you guys.
All right, Kyle Kleiman, your winner here in Pro Lights, hometown track for him.
The finishing results, Kleiman, Hart, Morris, looking through the field. I mean, this is honestly a stacked field because any one of these top 10 drivers could win any race on TORC, the Off-Road Championship presented by AMSOIL. The fastest today was Kyle Kleiman. The second fastest is the series points leader. Kyle Hart, the 41, finishes second, and Kate Osborne's with it.
Yeah, Kyle Hart with a big exhale as he climbed out of that truck. That was a really intense race for you against Kyle. But we were talking earlier, it's all about the championship points, and that's really a big focus for you. How much were you thinking about that when you were in the truck?
Oh, you know, that's always a factor, but you always want to come out and win. And Kyle, he drove a great race, and it seems like I'd be right there. And every time he'd make a mistake to let me get a little bit, I'd make the same mistake right behind him. So, but hats off to him. He drove a great race. But we seen Travis, he was off the side of the track, so we kind of settled in a little bit, just kind of waiting for him to make a big mistake, but he never did. And I slid into a rut on the last lap, and he was able to get a couple car lengths on me. But the strong second, I'm happy with it, and we'll just keep going for tomorrow. But I couldn't be here without all the help from all my sponsors, Maxxis, AMSOIL, Fiberworks, Dynamics, and everyone else. My mom, dad, thank you.
Kyle Hart, second place in Pro Light.
Second in the race, but look at the war. I mean, he might have lost the battle, but look at the war. He has got a considerable advantage. Dinsmore 29 markers behind after this bad race here. Cam Reimer's actually moved up a spot, as well as Sean Morris into fourth. Dropping back 2 is Luke Johnson, goes from 3rd to 5th. Let's go back down to Kate Osborne with Sean Morris.
Sean Morris starting to find some consistency here on the podiums. It's nice to see you up here. Now, tomorrow is a brand new day for you here in Bark River. What are you going to do differently to end up on top?
Oh, you know, you got to run your line here. You got to stick with it and don't get tired. You have to keep with it at the entire track. That's what Bark River is all about. It'll wear you out, you know. And the last 2 laps we had 0 breaks, none whatsoever. So I think I did pretty good keeping up there as I fell back, but. Hats off to Kinda Tire, Pack Race Springs, Method Race Reels, Dynamic Torque Converters. You know, everybody that puts it into my program, Motive Gear, you know, all my gear selection that they give me is second to none. I mean, thank you so much for everything, all you guys in Kinda Mike and you do for me. Like I said, you can get these tires at any store.
Sean Morris, all smiles here as he's 3rd in Pro Lights.
Boy, loves those points and those podiums. Sean Morris on top, not the top step, but anytime you can get on that podium, that's a good thing. You see the Pro 2-wheel drives lining up for Bark River, and one of those drivers in particular, the number 7 entry out of Crandon, Wisconsin. He is fast. He's sponsored by Traxxas, but really, who is Keegan Kincaid?
Keegan's one of the young drivers that really impresses me as far as his maturity level. You'd think some of these guys have only been doing it a little bit. I know when I was younger, I was a lot about mashing the throttle and not quite always thinking about the consequences, but Keegan kind of put him in the same boat as CJ. They're very impressive on how they think out the track and how they think out the corners to get the potential out of their vehicles.
Keegan Kincaid, he's a threat in anything he gets in. You know, we know he's one of the top guys in Pro 2. Him and CJ have just been trading back and forth. And then he jumps into Pro 4, and he's not even that familiar with that truck, and he runs right in the front. You know, if he starts in the front, he's going to be hard to beat.
I dig Keegan. My kids dig Keegan. They're over there playing with him all the time. I think he's a great dad, a great driver, and, you know, trying to catch him too.
Keegan's really stepped up his game in the last couple of years. I mean, he's always been fast, and we've always had awesome battles, and I really enjoy racing side by side with him. He's one of the few guys that I feel comfortable out there. I could hit any jump out here next to him, and I feel like we're going to come out of this just fine. And we have a real fun time racing side by side with each other, and can't wait to see what comes out of it.
And Keegan Kincaid about to strap in the Pro Light, the former Pro Light winner, about to strap in the Pro 2-wheel drive, but he has to line up against your boy, and you get to see him go head-to-head a lot, Johnny.
Yeah, you know, and it really, like CJ said in that little bit there, it's so fun watching those two because they have so much respect for each other and they race each other clean. It's a little bit like when CJ and I are going at it, you know what I mean? We make a deal. We're going to race each other as hard as we'll race anybody, but we're not going to make contact to where we're going to, you know, hurt the other truck or, you know, push the other driver off the track.
You say that now. Let's find out how it happens. Pro 2-wheel drive coming up right after this.
Brakes on the left and the right. You got this? Get your brake levers ready? Okay. Go ahead, guys.
dirt. Maxxis tires.
Outside of 1 is not where you want to be. Affirmative, sir. You're doing good. Relax. Everybody get ready for more ride? That worked fine for me. Hey, can I trade you sunglasses?
Yeah, sure.
TORC, the Off-Road Championship, presented by AMSOIL. We're at Bark River International Raceway up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. About a 2-hour drive from Green Bay, Wisconsin, about a 5-hour drive from Chicago, Illinois. I know because I had to make that 5-hour drive from Chicago, Illinois yesterday.
I had to make the long drive from Green Bay.
Oh, shut up. It ain't that long for you. Johnny Greaves to my side as you see the track preparation, and you talked about it at the top of the show. There's so many workers, so many volunteers keeping this track on track each and every time.
Yeah, there is, and you know, as you can see right now, they're working hard to get it back in shape. But man, from what I saw in that Pro Light race, these Pro 2s are going to have a tough track. that blue groove's going to move out another 20 feet. I don't know if there's going to be anything but blue groove and a little cushion on the outside. So
well, you're getting to see a little bit better than most of the drivers are out there.
Yeah.
So I think you've got an advantage heading into 4s. All right, let's take a look back at the Atturo Tire Pro Light race. A little look back, a little revamp, and there were some highlights, but there are also quite a few lowlights as well. My wife does hair, that's why I had to throw that in there. As we saw the start with Kyle Kleiman, he started on pole, and he never looked back. He stayed out front the entire time.
Yeah, he did a great job, you know. Never made any big mistakes, and when he did make a mistake, Kyle Hart kind of mimicked his mistakes. So I've been there, I've done that, and you know, it's frustrating when he finally gives you one opening out of the whole race and you make the same darn mistake. So there you saw it, and now it's just Kyle Kleiman driving it home.
Kyle Hart put the pressure on the entire time. I saw a lot of pressure from Luke Johnson, too much at times. There's what happened, a little brop, popped over the berm. So what do you do when you pop over the berm? You brop back over on the other side, but that was the least of his worries. That's when it got really ugly. Looks like 2.5, 3 rolls out of Luke Johnson.
Yeah, that is, I don't know what happened there. We didn't see the beginning of it, but a crash like that usually starts at the bottom of the hill in your approach, or he just lost traction when he came over the top, hooked the berm and whipped him back the other way, and that hill's tricky.
And Luke Johnson told me about a portion of this track, and we'll talk about that just a moment ago. Well, Kyle Kleiman won the race. I'm sure he's got a happy sibling. Well, I know he has a happy sibling in Cody Kleiman, and Kate Osborne is next to him.
Yeah, he's definitely happy and proud of his brother. But one thing that he has told me, Cody here, that he's been working on is finding his confidence after he had a really bad accident at a practice in Crandon. Now, Cody, you are doing well. You're back out here. You have that confidence. But how much better are you doing in the confidence department?
Getting seat time. I had the truck back together for ERX, and we just tried to work the bugs out. So it totally started fresh, but now I came back here in a hometown and still slowly starting to get over that hump. I think I'm right there. This field is so competitive that breaking that top 5 is so hard, but my brother ran great today, and he's got on a roll, so I'm just trying to be right behind him, and I'll be on that box soon.
Well, one thing you just mentioned was it's your hometown. This is your hometown crowd. It was so cool to hear everybody cheering for Kyle as he climbed out of the truck. What does it mean to have that support and encouragement here?
It's huge. I mean, the people that surrounded us that make this all this possible is just amazing. We only live 5 minutes down the road. We drive the race trucks right to the track. It's just amazing to have the fan support right here in our backyard.
Now, one thing I got to ask, I know your dad was also involved in racing. How much of your family dinners do you, your brother, and your dad, is it all about racing?
Oh, no, we have a family logging business we run too, but racing is a huge part of it, and this is just a hobby for us, and we're trying to do what we can of it.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
And yeah, you have to build that confidence. A big get off. I mean, it's so hard to come back. And yes, you have the full protective gear and the roll cage and stuff. But when you have a big get off like that, how long does it take to get your mind right? Or I guess it's up to the individual driver.
It is. You know, everybody bounces back different. We see it in motocross and everything. Some guys can, you know, crash their brains out over and over and over and just come right back and run to the front. But you know, I wasn't there when he had that crash, but I heard a lot about it. And when you hear a lot of stories about the crash, you know it's a good one. My brother, Kirk Greaves, was one of the ones who fixed that truck for him, and we stopped over there once and looked at it, and it was pretty twisted up. So he hit pretty hard, and he's a young guy, so some of that stuff, you know, it sinks pretty deep. But you know, those boys are racing family. Dad used to race, so he'll shake it out of him.
In case you haven't identified who this is to my left, it is Johnny Greaves, the three-time Pro 4 champion. Good to have you in the booth, and he's going to be talking with us through the Pro 2-wheel drive and get to talk about his son. I saw a lot of offs from Luke Johnson a moment ago, and I talked to him literally 20 minutes before we got to our announcer's position, and he was telling me how the track was different than it was last year. He thought that some of the bank turns, they cut into them more. It wasn't banked all the way in the turn, and the approach and the way that he did this, or did those areas, is different today. Do you think that had anything? Does it feel different to you?
Well, the base of this track right now is harder than I've ever seen it. You know, it's usually got it's got a lot of grit in it most of the time. So even when you blow off the top layer, there's still this gritty dirt that you can get a piece of. And as we're seeing here with all the blue groove, man, there's no grit there. They're laying rubber on top of it and shining it right off. So what's happening is I think they're just sliding across that so much faster than what they're used to. And then they're hitting that berm that much harder. And the berm isn't, what I noticed in practice is the berm isn't as long, call it, you know what I mean? It's real short out there, and it's
not as gradual, and then it gets abrupt.
Yeah. So you're sliding across, bam, you hit that berm, and you know, it throws you all kittywampus. So,
and unfortunately for them, it's not like a motocross biker. You would know this. You can't lay the truck over like you could a motocross bike and use that berm to rail off. At a certain point, it wants to roll you to that outside.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got to think of this more like a snowmobile almost, you know, or even out in the dunes in the sand. You know, you want to come in, you want to set it early in that berm, and then you want to use your momentum all the way around and get drive coming off. You come in and slide across that and smack the berm, yep, you're upsetting the truck. You just scrubbed off a whole bunch of speed, and, you know, good chance of making your day a little tough.
So what do you do for adjustments as we head into the Pro 2-wheel drives? They just saw, you know, the Pro lights going there. Do you take much account from what you see in the Pro Light? And is there a quick adjustment you can make in a Pro 2, or do you just have to do it all in your driving stuff?
Man, it's going to be the guy with the best throttle control. You know, I think the cushion's going to get shoved out so far.
So maybe somebody can undercut it? If things get pushed too wide, maybe you can go underneath. Maybe.
Well, that's what I think you're going to see. I mean, with Keegan and CJ starting in the back, and the way this track is already, you know, they weren't able to get any of that blue groove off there. They just covered it up a little bit. So, you know, you're going to see that shine come back a lot quicker than you did in the Pro Light. All these guys out in front, I think, are going to run the cushion because it's a fast way around. So you're going to see CJ and Keegan both looking to the bottom, you know, just tippy-toeing around the bottom, and the bottom's wet right now. So it's going to take half the race before that bottom line comes in, but I think then you're going to see those guys figure it out.
There's what you're going to look forward to in the Pro 2-wheel drive. Let's look back at what happened a couple of years ago between Ari Leindyke Jr. and Mike Jenkins. I don't know. I'll let you decide. Who do you think was at fault? Each one of them has their own opinion.
Thought I had a flat, was going around the sweeper up top, came over the restart jump, and realized that it didn't have full control of the steering. I was in the race line. I started to move left to get offline. I saw Ari came down and make contact with my truck.
Mike just came over and smacked right in the side of the truck.
I'm guessing that contact probably inflicted some harm to the front end of his truck.
Just before the crash, the truck pulled to the right pretty violently, and then I could tell something was wrong. That's when the truck darted to the right and then just planted into the ground and went end over end.
Ari's a new guy. He comes into this sport. This isn't a metro sport. This isn't an arrive and drive, IndyCar style of sport. That's what he's used to. It's a tough guy sport.
Before you talk bad about somebody, why don't you check the credentials? The last time I checked, Mike didn't qualify for the Indy 500. Yes, I understand this isn't open wheel racing, but it also doesn't give you the right just to run into people. And when you're dealing with somebody like that, it's hard to make a pass on him because he's unpredictable. And I don't care what type of racing it is, there's a camaraderie there. And you have to respect one another and give each other room to be able to race. It's just frustrating, you know, it's time and time again. I seem to run into problems with Mike, and you know, he's got all the money in the world, all the budget in the world, and he's a little short on talent.
He's a young guy. He's going to learn from it, and we wish him the best of luck.
Oh, all is well. I love the cat fights at TORC, the Off-Road Championship. And again, I'll let you decide who you thought was at fault in that particular incident. I have my view. There is Mike Jenkins, and yep, it's the first time we see him in Pro 2-wheel drive. It's the same truck that Keegan Kincaid drove at the second day of the Minnesota rounds, but you'll see the 47 back for pretty much the rest of the year, either with Mike driving it or some other driver. Might be a special driver outside of Mike Jenkins.
Yeah, it's really great to see Mike put that Traxxas truck on the track, you know, every weekend now.
He was having fun.
Yeah, and he needs to. You know, Mike's doing it for fun now, you know, enjoying himself. And he said, you know, after I watched Keegan drive that truck, I said, why ain't I driving that truck, you know?
Yeah, he said it was for him. He said it was minimal, you know, dollars going towards it, just, you know, keeping it up as long as he doesn't break it. You know, it is a low-cost item for him. It's already made. It's just sitting there.
Yeah. And he's probably giving Ari a little time to cool off so he don't pay him back.
That was a couple of years ago too when that happened, and the truck that was wrecked is one that he'd bought from Mike. So there was a lot going on. And speaking of Ari Leindyke, there he is up in the front, and they finally, I think, figured out a few issues. One was a brake issue they had. They actually had a fitting in the brake. It broke off part of it, and he was losing pressure at times. And you know, when you're a driver, the worst thing you could have happen is put your foot on the floor and nothing be there as far as brakes concerned. They figured that out. They have a totally new drivetrain in that truck. This team has had the worst luck in 2016 without question. A total new drivetrain from the engine on back.
Yeah, I mean, they have had some gremlins bite them, and that happens with, you know, I think he's assembled somewhat of a new team. And
is that like a big wall right there too? I mean,
yeah,
is the blade cutting in instead of making it more smooth? Is it cutting in, making a wall maybe?
Yeah, he's definitely dropped the blade. You know, he's pulling some of that dirt down, but at the same time, he's made a curve.
Maybe that's what Luke was talking about when he's saying that could have been a little bit more bank to ride on instead of now it's more cut into and flat. I bet you that might be a corner that Luke Johnson was talking about. Again, we'll talk more about this during the television show here in just a bit. There they are going in the farthest side of the track, and look at all the camping, the parking, and we get prepared for the Pro 2-wheel drives.
Got my buddy Rodney Van Ippern in the second row. Yeah. That's a new truck we just built. He got himself.
I'm glad you got him into the Pro 2s.
He's got a new Pro Power engine under the hood. First time he's had I'm going to call it a full-blown Pro 2 race.
He already
motor.
had that'd be his third motor this year. I thought the other one was the other good one because he started on a lesser motor than that. But either way, we'll step aside for a second, Johnny. Yep. We'll get into the television show here in just a bit. Here we are with the Pro 2-wheel drives heading their way up that big drop-off, the Cooper tire jump, and they fly down there, and Ari Leindyke and Nick Tyree will be leading the field in Pro 2-wheel drive. That is the biggest jump. I mean, you cannot see a thing. Johnny Greaves, I couldn't imagine what it's like driving over there, and there is the guy who's leading the series points. CJ Greaves has to start a ways back due to the invert, as well as Keegan Kincaid. Mike Jenkins in the series once again in the 47 next to Jason DeGrave. Good to have Mike Jenkins back in there. That was the same truck that we saw Keegan Kincaid drive as a backup in Minnesota. So another 10-lap race. Ari Leindyke on the outside. He has a new drivetrain in that truck. Everything is new from the engine on back. Can he finally have some good luck? Nick Tyree looking to set the pace. The truck on the left, the far side, number 91. He is the pole sitter. There's the acceleration zone, and there's the green flag. It's time to go. And Tyree with a good jump.
Yeah, it's tough being on that outside. You see with the roofs getting thrown, and you can't see diving in there. But
something happened to Leindyke. He goes from second back to about fourth or fifth now. Rodney Van Ippern, you tell me that's a new motor. You built that truck for him, but a new motor here for Mark River.
Yeah, he started with a super truck motor that was supposed to be a super truck, and then he bought a old, we're going to call it an old used Pro 2 motor that was pretty tired, but just wanted to get something going.
Wait, he was telling me that motor was fast. You're telling me this one's faster than that motor?
This is the real deal right here.
All right, no excuses. Ronnie Van Effert, a guy who's fast in a buggy and has been fast in the Pro 2-wheel drive. Now has Keegan Kincaid on the inside, and Keegan going for a slide job. He's giving him a ton of room on that inside.
Yeah, I mean, Ronnie definitely should have looked to the inside. You know, in the early part of the race when the grader pulled that dirt in, you got to take advantage of that dirt on the inside.
And close that door. Now you still don't see C.J. Greaves, and you know that Keegan started next to him. What do you tell your boy? You're not spotting for him, obviously. What do you tell him in the early portions of this race? And it looks like he's back in fourth.
Yeah, I mean, C.J. is just so methodical when it comes to this stuff. He's gonna, you know, work the track out and take these guys one at a time. I think you're gonna see him come out inside of Rod. Oh, Rod covered the inside pretty good.
And there goes Keegan Kincaid. So he's out in front looking for some good things. He was happy with this truck. I talked to him, you know, after practice, and he was putting on his tear arms. He said he normally puts 30, but he only put on 20. And the way that dust's being thrown, good thing he got out in front because they're getting a lot of roost. There's C.J. Greaves working on Ronnie Van Effert. Tyree blows over the berm. There's Van Effert to the outside. And that's Lovell that went over the berm. And now we have 2 positions picked up by C.J. in 1 turn.
Yeah, that really worked out well for C.J. I was just going to say, it's going to be a long first half for him. You know, Keegan getting out front, and he's still got to get by those 2 trucks. But now we're going to see the battle that we all look forward to, Keegan and C.J. And, you know, if C.J. can reel him in, Keegan looks like he's ready to redeem himself from the RX.
Last time around, about a 3.4-second differential between Keegan Kincaid and C.J. Greaves. Ronnie Van Effert in third, Nick Tyree into fourth. And it took a little while for C.J. to get there, but we also had that competition caution at the halfway point. So after that 5th lap, we re-racked, restacked, and look at that big launch all the way down to the bottom. Now in the previous race in Zero Tire Pro Life, we know we had a fast car or a fast truck in Kyle Hart. He was nose down in a bunch in that. Is that just how you were flying the throttle up to that jump, or is that suspension set up at times?
It's a little bit of both. You know, those hills are really intimidating, and when you come up to them and you get a good drive and you're hauling butt up there, you're like, man, if I go off this flat out, you know, those trucks tend to get some air under them. So you roll out of it, or you'll even drag the brake a little bit, and then you'll find yourself doing too much. And now you're committed to this huge air, and it's coming down on its nose. So it's really one of those deals you got to fine tune and figure out exactly when to let off and just let the truck, you know, roll into that little bit of a nosedive.
You see the gap between Keegan Kincaid as he's completed his 2nd lap, and the differential between Keegan and C.J. around 3 seconds now, 2.85 to be exact. When you have this much of a gap, you can still see what the guy in front of you is doing. Are you hunting for different lines for when it comes time to make that pass?
I don't think.
Oh. Go ahead.
I don't think CJ's quite looking for lines yet. He's going to wait till he gets right on Keegan. You know, he just turned the fastest lap. He's got about 4 or 5 tenths on Keegan, so he's definitely picked up the pace. So we'll see where that goes from there.
So losing grounds, Keegan Kincaid, but he's still out in front. Kate Osborne, you have more?
Yeah, well, if you remember at ERX, Keegan had a pretty gnarly accident. It was pretty bad. But he actually used Mike Jenkins' backup Pro 2 for the 2nd race at ERX. Well, he says he's basically changed everything for this Pro 2. It's his old truck again, but it feels better than ever. They changed the motor. Everything is working well. And for Keegan right now, it obviously is doing good things for him.
Yeah, new stuff in the truck, from the A-arm, spindle, upper layer, the link, the rear link was broke too. They had to do a lot of changes, so just run the backup. But in that backup, that motor wasn't as strong. So Mike Jenkins having to run a truck with a little lesser motor, so it might give him an incentive to have the backup pepped up just a little bit, just in case, because you don't want somebody ghosting you on straightaways. But right now, you talked about it. C.J. Greaves with the fastest lap of the race. He bumped that up on the lap number 3 at 1:21.59. The 2nd fastest lap at 1:22.66. So C.J. is a second faster than Keegan on that last lap.
Yeah, you can see C.J. really, you know, finding his groove on the track right now. He's not committing to the berms everywhere, but where he needs them, you know, he's using them. But he's figuring out how to flow with the track.
Kate, do you have a question?
Sure do. So Johnny, usually you're spotting for CJ during these Pro 2s. Now, what would you be telling him at this point, or maybe even at the caution?
You know, I just tell him keep doing what you're doing, especially if he's moving forward. You know, if you get close enough, before the caution. We definitely want to try to take him before the caution because
for sightlines, for clean air and get out in front.
Yeah, and the laps count down so fast after that caution, and it's like you don't have a lot of time to figure this out. But you know, right now he's getting closer where I think he's going to start sizing him up. He's going to figure out where he's faster. When he gets right on his butt, then he's going to try to find out, all right, where am I going to make that move if I get an opportunity?
And that particular corner right there looks so smooth, and then it just gets into fluffy, and there's like some whoops into that berm, and you see guys having to make these adjustments. That's where the moto side of things, the motorcycle racing side, really helps out, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. You know, every time we come out to one of these tracks, and you know, we take our pit bikes around, and CJ and I are just like talking moto and using the hands.
And making a few voices. You know, sounds like Rob, there's Rodney Van Eperen, and you talked about that, the relationship you have with him. Kate Osborne?
Well, one of the things that Rodney would say is that obviously he has a new engine, like you were saying, Chuck. But what was different about it this time around is and he's wrecking. So
Kate, he's going all over the place.
He did have a lighter engine. He said his truck's lighter. Maybe that had something to do with his accident right now.
Well, the rear end was definitely lighter. He just turned into that way too much. A nice pirouette. He made some contact. Hopefully no damage there with who was that? Tyree that it looked like he got into it with for just a moment. But the back end just got light. I'm sure we'll take another look at. And you can put some diagnosis on your truck with your buddy Rodney.
Well, where he wasn't lighter is on the throttle pedal at that point.
Absolutely.
Oh, and here we got a shot. CJ must have found a spot. And like I said, he's going to work that bottom. We'll see if that bottom comes in. Outside, inside, and...
This is like ballet, isn't it? As they come to the competition caution with one more big turn there. Another little double. He's on the inside. He might make it happen. Don't push it, though. You still got 5 more laps. That looks like that's going to be the case. Coming across, Keegan Kincaid, the Traxxas number 7, the Monster Energy 33 of CJ Greaves, the Tyree Motorsports 91 of Nick Tyree in 3rd.
There's a lot of performance hidden in these tires. These tires are insanely good. Selected as a Consumer's Digest Best Buy. If this is what experts thought about Cooper tires, imagine what you'll have to say. They're impressive on all surfaces. Put Cooper tires on your car today.
What would happen if a side-by-side had more power than it ever needed, a smoother ride than ever expected, and as much storage and customization as a pickup truck? Where would you take a side-by-side like that? Where would it take you? Step behind the wheel of the new Bad Boy Stampede 900 4x4 with 80 horsepower and see for yourself what would happen.
From bad to worse, a spin around for Rodney Van Eperen, and evidently smoke. That signifies fire somewhere on that 45. So it looks like he's out of the race. The driver from Appleton, Wisconsin, and that Motorcycle Mechanics Institute. Max's tire entry. He can keep his foot in it, and he's looking around. Where did it come from? Is it oil? Is it gas? Either way, it's a ended day, and unfortunately for Rodney Van Eperen, when you had that new motor in there, it gives you so much confidence. You saw him at the start of the race. He was wanting to be up front and stay up front.
Yeah, he was running good, and right now he's praying that it's anything else but that motor.
Maybe a line, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a fuel line, maybe an oil line or a shock, something oil-wise that caught on fire.
Well, normally those Pro 2 fires are transmission-wise.
So would that be a good thing with the transmission fire?
Yeah, I mean, it's better than the motor by a long shot. But the tranny fires can be pretty extreme and pretty scary.
One of the drivers you don't see in the top 5 is Rodney Van Eperen. He had to pull off. Looks like he had some type of fire, but you see the driver out in front, King Kincaid. He worked his way into that position, but he had big time CJ Greaves knocking on his door that last lap. 33 stuck a nose in there in that black and green Monster Energy truck. And can he make that pass? I know that if Keegan Kincaid's going to win this TORC Series championship, he has to keep beating CJ, and more than just by one spot. He needs some help. But right now, this series, this season's been about those two drivers. Look back there in third. It looks like Mike Jenkins in third place now after they re-racked.
Yeah, here we go, green. Keegan got a good jump. He's got about a gap on CJ, so we'll see how they move in this next corner. There's CJ trying to work that bottom a little bit. He's hoping that comes in.
And it doesn't necessarily have to come in right there, but it's kind of a test. It's just, if it does right now, fantastic.
Yeah, he's gonna keep feeling it out lap after lap. He's probably gonna end up being the guy who has to work that bottom in for his own sake, because he's not gonna go around the outside of Keegan, that's for sure.
Right, everybody else gonna want to run that fast line until it's no longer fast. Man, you talked about how you're jumping and not landing turn. They're definitely in that turn, landing all sideways. And you got to keep your foot in it in that situation, don't you?
Oh yeah, I mean that hill plays a huge role. That was one of our weak points last year. Is you know, when Keegan was chasing down CJ that one race, it was all about how hard he ran up that hill and flew down the backside. And you know, I told CJ, whatever you got to do, you got to find a way to get a better drive going up that hill, and so you can hold it on and shoot down there and, you know, be where you want to be. There's a little mistake by Keegan, but as you can see, that there's just no grip on the inside. So
big wheel adjustment though out of Keegan right here. Again, going to that inside, trying to make it happen, trying to develop underneath the lowest line. You're trying to start your own line. You'll definitely see it in this right-hander coming up next. Both of these guys are fast at Bark River, winning. They split the races last year. There once again, you see underneath, but he's not able to hold it.
Yeah, I honestly think, I mean, if I was on the radio, I'd say next time, CJ, he's going to think you're going to the bottom.
So go high.
And just put that thing out in the cushion and try to rock around the outside.
I like the mentality right there. You saw he was smack dab in the middle of that blue groove tire. Or what do you do as far as the tire setup? When you're in that blue groove, that hurts the tires at times, doesn't it, depending on the cut? You think, you know, is CJ set up more for the first half of this race or the back half?
Well, you know, Keegan has had trouble in the past with his tire, you know, running it too hard and overheating it. And this would be one of those times where I'd say, CJ, just keep pushing him. Let's see if we can wear his tire out. We've done that at Chicago where, you know, just stay on him and make him spin that tire and see if we can wear his tire out.
And it looks like Ari Leindyke also off the track as he just went by. Do you have more on that, Kate?
You know, yeah, I just talked to Jarrett Johnson, who's spotting for Ari Leindyke Jr., and he said he thinks the middle of the wheel just broke, and it's a big disappointment because Ari
There's CJ going to the bottom. This might be it. Now he's going to...
Yeah, Kate, we've got a pass here, and you got to push him wide because you know underneath, if you're trying to search for traction, there is none. You have nowhere to go, and right now Keegan has nowhere to go, and he did not even make it up that jump, so he's got to drive around that outside.
Oh, he spun out at the top there. I think he couldn't get back.
He couldn't get his grip going again. He was out there. I thought there was still plenty of track left.
Well, what happened was when CJ finally cleared him and slid in front, he filled Keegan's truck so full of dirt, I don't think Keegan could see the track.
No, true. Yeah, you talked about the dirt and the dust, and that was a roost section right there. It wasn't dirt or dust. It was just a massive amount of roost.
Now watch, when CJ's truck clears him, right here, he's just going to fill Keegan.
Right there in the center.
Right, and now I don't think Keegan knows where he's at.
He's lucky he doesn't hit that tire in the K-rail.
I see he's on the brakes, not knowing where he's at. He probably, if he would have known, he could have just drove right through that. But
yeah, but it's better to stop than do serious damage, because if he center punches one of those K-rails, it's not going to be good. Let's go to Kate one more time.
Well, I'm talking to Jeff Kincaid. It seems like Keegan Kincaid has lost his power steering.
And that doesn't help things either, and that's harder to hold your line and make those turns as well. You can fight through it, but it's not like the old truck, you know, trucks in the old days that didn't have power steering. It's not just a continuous drag. It's like on off, on off, on off. It's like very, very difficult.
Oh, I mean, it's even harder than that.
Yeah, I've had it happen, so I know, but it's hard to put it in words because an average person, it's like wrestling a gorilla.
Yeah, I mean, in a Pro 4, if you lose power steering, you might as well just park it, because you're going to get in more trouble trying to stay on the track, and, you know, with the amount of traction you got, that thing will go in the wrong spot too quick. So, you know, at this point, CJ's just, I'm not going to say he's in cruise control, but he's making sure he doesn't hurt the truck. He doesn't want a flat tire. He's going to make sure he keeps the tires cool.
There's Mike Jenkins in second place. The 47, not a bad return. Doing better than his teammate. I know, and I can almost guarantee he'll give up that position to Keegan Kincaid if he ever comes knocking on the door, because Keegan's in it for the championship. This is Mike's first race of this season. And yes, he did race Pro 2s, but he's been focusing on the Pro 4s. But he said it was fun, and he was, what, third fastest qualifier today as well in practice.
Oh, yeah, and Mike looks good. I mean, Mike's a road racer, so this thing goes slick like that. He knows how to just manage the truck, come in easy, find grip and not over accelerate. And he's doing a really good job. Here, Jason DeGraff, what has he raced twice now?
Yeah, and it's from Bark River. I mean, the podium at your hometown race, the Armor Steel race-driven Maxxis entry, 72. Boy, would that not be a feather in your hat if you could podium here at Bark River?
Yeah, he's doing a good job. He's also, like you said, he's a local boy. I think he got a little bit of track time up here, a month or two ago, just trying to get familiar with the truck, because like he said, he bought that truck from Jeff Kincaid, showed up at Crandon, just put it on the track. That was his first time behind the wheel. So to see him running third here, he's doing a great job.
It is hard to be part-time against some of these guys that, are racing in and out. I'll let you know, Chad Horton told me, and as you going to leave the booth and go straight to your truck, Chad told me, he said something about these Green boys. They just have something on everybody, and we've been battling it out for those next positions. Why do you think you're so fast as you see CJ take off on this final lap of the Pro 2-wheel drive? Why do you think both of you have been so fast this year in any class that you race?
Well, we really, really work hard on our program, and I can't stress that enough to people. I'm not going to say these guys are hobby racers, because there's a lot more professionals out there, but also these guys have jobs that run their business, like Mike Jenkins or Chad Hort or any of those guys. And CJ and I, this is all we do. Every morning, it's get up, go to the shop, eat, breathe, sleep, off-road, whether we get to drive our truck or we get to go ride moto or whatever. We do whatever it takes to improve for the next weekend.
Well, it's hard to improve on the lead. CJ Greaves on the last lap of the Pro 2-wheel drive. And he has just not set a wheel wrong so far today. And this guy has been unbelievable this season, and we'll see if he can continue his dominance in Pro 4. And Johnny's going to be in the cockpit of his truck having a little something to say about it. We started off the show talking about a monster. Well, this kid is a monster in Pro 2-wheel drive. He's leading the series points, and he's going to take another victory here in Bark River. CJ Greaves with the victory.
I love to see that, but I hate to see him start the weekend out like that, because once he's on a roll, that little guy is hard to stop.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, make it his 6th win of the season, whether it be Pro 2s or Pro 4-wheel drives. We'll talk to him in a bit.
There's a lot of performance hidden in these tires. These tires are insanely good. Selected as a Consumer's Digest Best Buy. If this is what experts thought about Cooper tires, imagine what you'll have to say. They're impressive on all surfaces. Put Cooper tires on your car today.
What would happen if a side-by-side had more power than it ever needed, a smoother ride than ever expected, and as much storage and customization as a pickup truck? Where would you take a side-by-side like that? Where would it take you? Step behind the wheel of the new Bad Boy Stampede 900 4x4 with 80 horsepower. See what would happen if you had more power than you knew what to do with. Explore with it, take command with it, go camping in it, hunting in it, run your farm, your ranch, or rip up any off-road trail. Because we didn't push every limit of engineering and design to see what a side-by-side was capable of. We did it to find out what you're capable of. This is the Stampede from Bad Boy. Get yours and find out what would happen. See it in action at badboystampede.com.
The track preparations, the driver preparations, as I'm next to Johnny Greaves in the booth for the TORC Off-Road Championship at Bark River. And Johnny, looking at everything that you've seen, looking through the camera lens, what adjustments, what thought process changes are you going to have to make as you head to your truck in the Pro 4-wheel drive?
Shoot, I got to try to beat that little blonde monster. I'm wondering how I'm going to do that, you know, but CJ's doing a great job. I mean, now he's just bubbling with confidence. He's what, five in a row right now, or he could have more than that. I don't even keep track of it anymore. But
I think it's 4, right? I get hard with when I look at the results on those things. I'll get that for you.
It's kind of funny. A lot of people tease me about, you know, oh, the kid's beating you, and how do you feel about that? And you know, it doesn't upset me at all. I mean, this kid was brought up in a racing environment, and he chose to be a racer, and we built ourselves a super CJ, you know, so this is what I expect, and I expected to get my butt kicked someday, and it's going on. But
did it happen a little earlier than you were expecting?
No, actually it didn't. I knew it was coming the first time he set foot in that Pro 2. I think he won his very first Pro 2 race ever, and after that I went, oh my God, I just got to keep him out of that Pro 4 for a while.
This guy has been unstoppable in 2016, and pretty much picking up where he left off last year. Has not finished out of the podium so far in Pro 2-wheel drive.
TORC, the off-road championship, is brought to you by Cooper Tires. We make tires for people, not just cars. Bad Boy Off-Road and their all-new Stampede 900 4x4 side-by-side. And by AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
In 9 rounds of TORC, the Off-Road Championship Pro 2-wheel drive, CJ Greaves has now won 6 of those 9 rounds. He has not finished off the podium. And speaking of that, today he's once again on top of the podium, and Kate Osborne has it.
Yeah, CJ Greaves, that was an amazing win for you. You actually just said in the truck, that was awesome. And you came from the back there, then you had a bit of a moment with Keegan back there when you were battling to get around him, and then you looked behind you and he wasn't there. Walk us through that moment.
Yeah, you know, we've been struggling a little bit with carburetor in practice, and we knew Keegan was going to be fast. He got his truck back together. I know them guys put in all kinds of hours to get that thing back together after ERX, and I knew we were going to have our work cut out for us. So in the beginning, the track was slick, and we didn't have it. And then as it started to dry up, the tires started to come in, the whole package started to come together, and then we're like, all right, I think we got a little more speed than him, and jumped inside of him, going up through that left-hander, and I saw him next to me, trying to hold my line as much as I can, and then right when I was clear, put it out in the cushion and just stood on. Devin's like, I don't know what happened. I don't know where he went. And from there, he's just like, just do your thing and run your race. But I couldn't do it without all my family, my friends, all you crowd for coming out here. Woo! Monster Energy, Toyota, Maxxis Tires, Method Race Wheels, Fox Shocks, AMSOIL, Forest County Potawatomi, everyone that helps us out. Big thanks to them.
Another Pro 2 win for CJ Greaves.
And a proud papa as we take a look at the results. And Johnny didn't even spot for him, so I guess, you know, he can do it with anybody calling him, right, Johnny? Look at the results there. Mike Jenkins, DeGray finishing on the podium. Awesome job by him. But CJ, he's only 21 years old. This is his 6th win in Pro 2-wheel drive at Bark River alone. That is unbelievable from a 21-year-old. Let's go down to Kate Osborne, who's with Mike Jenkins. Hey, not bad for a part-timer.
Not too bad at all for Mike Jenkins. First time in the Pro 2 this season. And you guys made some changes to it there coming from ERX. Did you expect to be on the podium when you were unloading it?
Well, you know, we didn't really have a lot of expectation. I haven't been in the Pro 2 until yesterday for 2 years. Yesterday was the first time. 2 years ago, the last race we had was Charlotte. So Keegan used this as a backup truck at ERX, and I'm looking at this truck going, why am I not racing this? We're out here for the weekend. You guys want to see more people out racing with each other, and it's just more fun behind the wheel, and everything just kind of fell in and went natural. We made very little changes to it, really. It was just kind of a matter of trying to manage tires a little bit, and, you know, we got to thank our sponsors. First of all, Bark River Knives. I think we got a knife coming today. This is Saturday, right? We look forward to that. It's one of the big things here at Bark River, and all you fans coming out here, we really enjoy the support. But Traxxas and AMSOIL and Fox for getting us out here, Impact Racing for keeping us safe. It's great to be here, racing in front of a bunch of great fans like here at Bark River. So thank you.
Mike Jenkins, 2nd place here in Pro 2.
And Mikey's smiling, and he should be, except for when he looks at his teammates drop in standings now. CJ with a 22-point advantage in Pro 2-wheel drive. Lovell in third, Van Appert again with a terrible day today, and Mike Jenkins moves up in the order. Fastest lap of the race by 0.6 of a second with CJ Greaves. But you want to do well in your hometown race. Jason Grave does just that. He's from Bark River. He finishes on the podium in Bark River, Kate.
Yeah, the crowd is really excited that you are on the podium. This must feel great for you, knowing that this is something you were coming in to do this season. You were working hard, and you end up on the podium in your hometown. What does it feel like?
Oh, that's great. I mean, I've had so much support from everybody. I mean, Johnny Greaves, the whole Jenkins team, Keegan, Jeff Kincaid. He's going to change his number. He's going to get sick of me calling him on questions, you know. We have a lot to learn, but, you know, my whole crew, these guys, we blew a motor out here testing last week, and we didn't have the funding to come up with it, and I told the guys that we're out, and they said, no, we're going to keep cleaning everything up and get this thing ready in case we come up with the motor, and we did the day before yesterday. Stuffed it in here, and here we are on the podium today. And these guys, all my guys are working full-time jobs, working after hours till 3, 4 in the morning at my house, getting 2 hours of sleep and going to work. So I can't thank my guys enough, my whole family, my friends, everybody, and you know, everybody in TORC. Everybody's been pushing and supporting me, and man, I'm so happy to be here. This is great. Second time ever driving the truck at a race, and we're on the podium, so I'm thrilled.
It's a victory in itself, finishing third here at Bark River.
That's right, Kate, and the Pro 4-wheel drives are lining up. Some of the drivers aren't there. One of them's on the podium in CJ Greaves, the other one next to me. Johnny Greaves, it's good calling the races with you, buddy. I hope you had a good time.
It was a lot of fun, and now I got to go see if I can knock him off his stool for a minute or so. But hopefully we'll see you guys on the podium in a few minutes.
Well, you got the advantage of watching it through the TV monitor. He's got the advantage of watching it behind the driver's wheel. The Pro 4-wheel drives, including Johnny Greaves, the series points leader. Can he beat his son, the Blonde Monster? We're about to find out.
When it comes to guarding your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance enthusiasts demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond protection it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Everyone has their daily routines. Some of us thrive on adventure, the thrill, even just a little family time. We live for the weekend. Whatever your passion, Kenda Tires is there for you. Kenda Tires, designed for your journey.
Look at the turnout for TORC, the Off-Road Championship presented by AMSOIL. The throwdown in the UP, that's what they call it. This is the first stop of 2 here at Bark River, the throwdown in the UP. I got a man who is ready to throw up in the UP. That would be Luke Johnson in the Spider Lights Red Bull truck. And Luke, good to have you in the booth, but this isn't how I wanted to be talking with you. I was wanting you to walk straight from the podium in here to the announcer's position, but man, what the heck happened to you?
Yeah, that was my plan. You know, we were making a good charge through the field here today. It was definitely rough for myself, but you know what? We just caught a rut and went for a ride, and definitely would like to be speaking to you on different terms. But you know, we're here. I'm in good health, and my crew's working really hard to get the truck back tomorrow, and hopefully bring another win here to Bark River, which I have in the past.
Your dad normally sits in this position, and now you get to see it from a different side of things. And I know we've talked before, but what was it like out there, and how did the track change from what you saw even in qualifying practice to where it was when it come race time?
Well, qualifying practice, we had that incident where it kind of let the track bake out a little bit, and then they threw water down on it on top of the dry slick. So with that, you know, it was a little bit slippery, and coming into the race, they did a great job prepping the track, a lot more traction, and as we saw in the Pro 2 race as well, the traction went away and we got blue groove, which this track is notorious for.
All right, let's take a look at just what happened in the Turo Tire Pro Light division. Luke Johnson, LJ14 right here. It wasn't his day. Let's take a look at some of the mishaps in the Pro Light. So here we are outside. Okay, little tuck tire got in the way, no problem. Oh, here's Denzor on the inside. I thought you were good there. I think he got the bad end of that deal, but he tried sticking a nose in here. But then this is the bad one of them.
Yeah, we caught a little bit of dust, you know, with the save. Coming back in with the moto jump, little Brop back up on.
I told everybody you'd be saying Brop, and that was bad. Did it feel that bad?
Yeah, well, you know what? If I was doing gymnastics, it's the second time I've stuck the landing all year, but you know what? We're short course racing, so hopefully I can keep her on all fours for tomorrow.
Yeah, you've been rolling way too much. I remember you doing that in Minnesota. I'd like to see that again. So the second one, when you were in that high-speed right-hand turn, it just came down to not being able to see that berm?
Yeah, so if you look at the Pro 2 race, you saw everyone jumping over the top of the hill. You saw Keegan and CJ up front, airing up over that hill, and I did not quite as far, but did catch the berm on the other side, started to spin out. So with these narrow wheelbase trucks, I tried to stay into the gas to keep it from rolling over, ultimately hitting the inside bank, which then sent me for a ride. So rough day in the office, but you know what? I drove home.
Yeah, so 2 out of the 3 mishaps that we saw was that one turn. But I was actually initially leading into that turn, you know, where that berm was kind of built more towards that middle portion right there, and you just rolled to the outside of it.
Yeah, so we caught some dirt, or, you know, caught the edge of the berm. I tried opening up to set my turn up before I crossed over the top of the hill, and just used up as much track as there was and caught a little air off to the side.
Said, bruh.
Yeah,
honestly, we say that. It's just a moto fun thing. Did you honestly, when you went back on, do you say brop?
I didn't inside my helmet, but watching it back, I definitely had to throw a little brop in there. So good call on your part.
Okay, where we going? Let's take a look at the full Pro 2 highlights. I know you had some of the low lights in there, but let's take a look at how it went down in the Two Tire Pro Light. Let's look at it in its, the Pro 2-wheel drive highlights. This is how it went down. Out in front, Art Leindyke was on outside pole. Something happened to him right off the bat, dropped back into 4th.
You good?
Nick Tyree was up there, and Rodney Van Eperen. Van Eperen had a good run until something let go. There's Tyree blowing off on the outside.
You got Brad Level following him up there. CJ had some work cut out for him. You know, you had Keegan out there to a good start. You see that jump that we were talking about?
Pirouette.
Van Eperen, I did that in qualifying, unfortunately. And there was the pass. I'm not really sure what happened to Keegan. Maybe it looks like he lost power steering. So, you know, it definitely looked like he's having a hard time steering that truck. And Mike Jenkins, part-time driver, coming back in and did a heck of a job putting it up for that second place. And CJ just putting her home, doing what he's doing best, keeping that point sleeve alive.
So I said part-time Mike looking good, and CJ just picking up right where he left off. You know, last year he's the defending champion in both the Pro 2 and the Pro 4-wheel drive as he prepares for the Pro 4. But you know, supposedly that truck's going to get driven. Maybe you try and hit up Mike and say, hey, I would love to be in a Pro 2, you know, come the next round in Charlotte or Brandon.
Well, I have a Pro 2 of my own, and we're hoping to make a debut before we show up to Fall Run in Crandon. So
you heard it here first, right? Then you haven't let everybody know that, really, have you?
I did put out a press release earlier this week, Robbie.
I missed it.
But yeah, no, we are making an attempt to try to run at Charlotte. For sure going to be running at Crandon, debuting the Pro 2 as I move on from the Pro Light class. Not doing the season that I'd hoped to on my last year here in the Pro Light class, but you know, we're making the best of it, and hopefully we have a spectacular recovery for tomorrow.
All right, as far as the tire, the combination, you're kind of restricted on what you have to. It's a DOT tire, but everybody grooves their tire one way or another. Let's take a look at a little bit more in depth on tire grooving.
On my Pro 2, we run this Maxxis Razor on the rear. Each track is a little different. Some tracks are all blue groove. The blue groove tracks, we try to leave more rubber in the tire so we get more side bite. The tire doesn't get so hot and blister. The more cushion there is, we like to open it up, get some paddles in it, get it to clean out, and keep the forward bite going through the whole race.
This Cooper tire comes straight from the factory with this circumference groove, which helps dissipate heat and cleans off the tire. This is what we actually do to the tire. If you'll notice all these different grooves here, these are all for traction. This is a rear tire on a Pro 2. And these C-notches are actually specific for Bark River to help give us better traction when the track deteriorates.
When we groove this Nitto tire, we want to make sure the lugs are strong enough to maintain their integrity from the start of the race to the end of the race. The grooves have to be wide enough to allow the dirt to extract, but also maintain the sharp edge so we get a consistent wear pattern from the start of the race to the end of the race, from the inside of the tire to the outside of the tire.
So the depth of the cut, the angle of the cut, also there's siping, and those guys they said they had their truck set up a little bit more for the latter part of this race, and I guess with it getting blue groove like that, I mean, you have to make those adjustments. And what have you seen here? What would you have how would you have the truck set up?
Well, you know, with the different compounds that are available to the Pro 2s and Pro 4s, you have options there, as well as you have your steer grooves and your drive grooves. So you see a lot of those tires that we were just looking at have a lot of very straight cuts for forward bite. You also see where they're pulling out and having edges that you would think are for steering, but are also to add side bite. So here, as traction goes away across the track, not only moving forward, but trying to keep the truck from spinning out, like we saw Van Epperen in the Pro 2 race, you're going to see a varied technique between each team and the different tires if they're going to run siping to try to build some more heat into the tire. And those are things that you're going to look for driving around this track in the later half of the race, is building too much heat or not enough heat and having too hard of a tire.
Well, speaking of heat, I keep thinking about Nick Tyree, and when we were at ERX, he had some heat in the cabin of that vehicle, and that wasn't because of the tire. Kate Osborne's caught up with him.
Yeah, Nick Tyree, who started out this last Pro 2 race really well. You were out in front, you were leading, you looked like you had a lot of power, you were moving, basically, but then you weren't, and you started slowing down, and we all kind of was wondering what went on.
Yeah, you know, it was a good start to the race. Made a couple mistakes early on, but it was going okay, and we're having a fuel issue. It's electronic, obviously. I think the fuel pump's shutting off, on and off from the landing off the jumps. We'll fix it.
Well, one of the things you guys had to do was fix your truck from ERX to here in Bark River. What were some of those changes, and did any of them really pay off?
After ERX, there was all the plumbing was redone, all the electrical was redone, and all the data acquisition was redone as well.
What changes are you going to make for tomorrow?
Just go through the whole fuel system and make sure the electronics are good, and it's good for tomorrow. We can't have that happen again.
Well, let's real quickly talk about your family, the family atmosphere. We've talked about this before with the Tyree. I call them the Tyree clan. It's a group of you guys, and it's really cool because you're one big family. Talk about what it's like to have everybody at the track with you every weekend.
That's the only way I know. You know, we run a business as a family, and you know, me and my sister are taking over the companies as of now, and Dad and Mom kind of shadow us and oversee us and make sure we don't make no big mistakes, and that's the way I'm doing this. You know, I run it like a business. It's got to be. There's a lot going on, and we got to stay at it.
Well, I was going to say, it sounds like it's going to be a busy day for that family here tonight as they prepare for Bark River again tomorrow, but best of luck out there tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Guys.
And speaking of family, I look at Nick Tyree and I look at you, and you're having to share pits this week. The Toter home had some problems, some difficulties. She broke down.
Well, actually, the Toter home is actually doing great. The trailer, on the other hand, had a little bit of axle issues, so we're trying to get that solved out. Almost had it ready for this weekend, but unfortunately didn't get the axles back in time. So Nick Tyree was kind enough to open up his pit to me and my team this weekend, and has been an awesome home for us here in Bark River.
How do they lose monster-size axles like that?
I don't know. The package itself is larger than a smart car, so I'm not really sure how that
heavier for sure.
Went out of place for 2 days, but they're getting it solved.
Good deal though. But I mean, it is a family, and you can just call a buddy up and say, "Hey, can you help a brother out?"
Yeah,
and
we're both Southern California-based teams, and also moved to the town of Anago for the summer. So, you know, when talking to Nick, he was more than happy to help me find a home for the weekend here in Bark River.
All right, so you're sharing pits with him, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of work in the Luke Johnson, the LJ14 camp today. What kind of damage report do we have for your truck?
So far, what I saw, we obviously got a little bit of fiberglass damage, but you know, we have a lower track rod on the right-hand side and an upper A-arm in the front. Other than that, I haven't seen much more.
You have backups for those.
Here we got Johnny ripping across the field there on the motorcycle, using those moto skills to get himself in the truck sooner than later. At CJ as well, there to go.
Having some good form. Now, you know, some of the fans are noticing also about that awesome mustache you have going. Is that on your own doing, or did you lose a bet?
I got tired of playing with my beard and the fun of, you know, being a growing man.
Right look, Bobby Runyon.
There he is.
He can't hear us though, Luke. But
oh no, I can hear you.
Oh,
loud
you
and
can
clear.
hear us.
All right.
You didn't have anything to do with this stash of his, did you? Look at that thing. It's magnificent.
No, this is on my own. I actually started a new fashion trend.
What is that?
Bald spot.
It's
called one bald spot and one bumpy hill. Yeah, you just run it all together, and eventually it all works out.
Is that natural, or is
It's grown. It was like the size of a penny at the last race, and now it's like a 1-inch square. So I'm not really sure what Bobby Runnion's got going on there, but he's starting something new. That's for sure.
It's stress. You guys are stressing me out so much.
Hey, we saw at ERX, we saw the little side bet y'all had, and it's usually who finishes in front of the other. Was there a bet coming into today, and who's going to suffer the consequences going into tomorrow?
There was a bet going into today, and it actually did result in tattoos, but we had to, either Luke or I both had to end up on the podium or win the race, and that unfortunately didn't happen for either of us. And I hope Luke's okay, but we're both kind of struggling right now. My truck from yesterday's incident and then his truck from today's incident. We're having a little bit of a rough weekend.
Yeah, you had a problem and kind of nosedive and did the one-handed double face auger with the twist. Were you able to correct some of those problems, or how did it feel, during that race? 'Cause I know it wasn't all right.
It's getting closer. We're working on the toe to try and correct some bump steer issues that we have right now, but the biggest problem is that when you start correcting the car in that way, it's creating issues throughout the rest of the corner. So if we can adjust those corners with other parts of the truck, we're just kind of band-aiding the issue right now, so that way we can continue to perform for the rest of the weekend.
So will you be able to experience some of the Bark River Bloody Marys, or are you going to have to go back and work on the truck all night and get ready for tomorrow?
Sunday night I'll be there for sure. Actually, the truck's in great shape. That puddle that we hit there wasn't as hard as you think it'd be, so it was just kind of a big mud pile, and we powered right through it. So we got a flat left front, flat left rear, that's it. A couple seals we got to fix, and we'll adjust the front end, and we'll make some changes for tomorrow to get the truck to kind of squat better, and we'll go from there.
All right, thanks a lot, Bobby Runyon. We'll have to find out what the challenge is for tomorrow, and we'll update you on that. LJ and Bobby always have something going on. Follow them on Twitter or Instagram or wherever it takes, and we'll find out what the scoop is. Thanks, Bobby.
Not a problem.
We'll see you tomorrow in the Arturo Tire Pro Light. And Luke Johnson, we've got a long day still ahead of us.
Yes,
we have some UTVs, we have Pro 4-wheel drives, we've got a lot of action.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We saw a lot of the UTVs, some new action, and the Pro 4 is something I'm accustomed to watching. My father being a multi-time champion in the class. And
who's that? Oh, Ricky Johnson.
Ricky Johnson, who I happen to be filling in for this weekend. So, I'm happy to fill in and do the job. Hopefully, one day I can fill in the Pro 4 spot as well. Love being in here talking with you, Robbie. But I'd love to be.
Slow down, Grasshopper. We'll see you in the Pro 2. Come Crandon and maybe a Charlotte. We'll see how that goes, but. Again, we still have a little bit of time, and Johnny and CJ have gotten in their respective trucks and prepare for our final big boy race of the day. And then, yes, there are big boys racing in the UTVs in a more fuller class here, and they're going to be running a short course. Should tighten things up as well and have to deal with lap drivers as well in the UTVs.
Absolutely, and that's something that we saw at ERX was a little bit longer track, and they kind of spaced out a little bit. So definitely be cool to see a class that I actually started in as I worked my way up to being a pro driver. I started off racing UTVs actually against Corey Weller, who is one of the current drivers in the UTV class. She was getting into the class right about the same time. I stayed in the class for about 2 to 3 years and then moved on to TORC Racing here when I moved on to Sportsman 2, which we had earlier today.
Corey, a winner in that. RJ Anderson, hopefully we get to see him. We've seen him at Crandon last year. Maybe we'll see him at Crandon this year and prepare for that. What's the difference? How does it feel different between a UTV and hopping in the Pro Light? I mean, it's got to be a different world, doesn't it?
The UTVs back when I was racing didn't have quite as much horsepower as they do now. So, some of the power to weight ratios on some of the tighter tracks have been told that it's almost like a little Pro 4, but those things are about as long as they are wide, and you've seen when they do go for a ride, that is one heck of a ride and side by side. But they're a great platform if you want to get into short course off-road racing. It got me to where I am today. It definitely taught me how to ride the bike, as we saw a couple times this year. Even though I did flip, I have saved a few.
Have saved a few. Yeah. Your dad was trying to get me in that thing, saying all you got to do is hashtag this. I was like, I don't think we need Fast Feets Floyd in that UTV.
Oh yes, we do.
It would not. No, it would not be pretty. I'd be better off in a Z50 on the Z50 race before I'd be getting into there. And we might make that happen. There's a Honda Cub, one of the best pit bikes of all time, and there's the Pro 4-wheel drives ready to line up, and we can get ready to look at these 7 drivers. One of them will take the championship here today from Johnny Greaves, Mark Kwame, CJ, Ross Hook, Mike Jenkins, Chad Hort, Scott Douglas, who will step up their program today and take the victory in Bark River. CJ Greaves trying to do it again. He won the Pro 2-wheel drives, trying to do the Pro 4-wheel drive duo, something that he's done 6 times already in his career in Pro 2s and Pro 4s. That is unbelievable. He's only been doing this a couple of years in 2s and 4s. He's already won 6 times, swept the day in both classes.
Yeah, well, I hope I have a career that mirrors CJ's. He didn't win a Pro Light championship before moving on to the Pro 2s and Pro 4s where he had a little bit more success. And after the season we've been having, I'm hoping that the Pro 2 opens up some new doors for me. But it's really cool to see Johnny and CJ having the opportunity to race here. I was hoping to have that opportunity with my dad, and he's definitely got the fire still in him. So maybe at some point Dad and I will get to line up side by side and have this this battle that Johnny and CJ are going through right now.
And again, I'd like to welcome everybody listening around the world on TORCseries.com. To my left is Luke Johnson, LJ14, the Pro Light driver. Gets out of the restraint system, and now you got to restrain yourself sitting next to me. We're going to call a 10-lap Pro 4-wheel drive race. Your father not with us here today, so you get to fill in, and Johnny Greaves did a great job in here. No pressure on you, buddy.
Well, I will do my best. It looks like
that's not your favorite turn. That could be the Luke Johnson turn.
Let's not label it too soon, but it looks like they've done an awesome job knocking down that fluff that bit me a little bit earlier. They got some good water out there, so we should be pretty good here. We'll probably see some dust in certain spots early on in the race, but definitely look like the track crew did an amazing job getting it prepped up for this Pro 4.
There's that big sweeping left-hand turn. It seems like that turn never ends, doesn't it, over near the cemetery turn? Again, doing both the webcast. I'd like to welcome everybody there, and we're also doing the Fox Sports Show here, and we're ready to pick it up for our final big truck race of the day. The big boys are back, about 900 horsepower, ready to hit the track here at Bark River, Michigan for TORC, the Off-Road Championship presented by AMSOIL. The throwdown of the UP Part 1. Who's going to take the victory? Let's take a look at our starting grid. On the front row, Mike Jenkins, who just finished on the podium in Pro 2-wheel drive, next to Ross Hook. Next to him in the lineup should be Scott Douglas and Chad Horton. You know Chad Horton wants to do well, as Luke Johnson sits in next to me, taking over for Johnny Greaves. CJ Greaves is next to Johnny. That should be a good Greaves on Greaves matchup. Milan Mesnick and Mark Kwame, but good to have Luke Johnson, who had his problems in the Turo Tire Pro Light race. Now he sits next to me. You get to call these bad boys. I'm just glad you're safe and here with me. Who's going to get this whole shot, Luke?
Well, we got the advantage on the inside for Ross Hoke coming into this first turn, but if we get a good run by Mike Jenkins, he might be able to hold that inside coming the right hand as they take off. You see Ross Hoke running that cone zone, and you know what? Mike Jenkins might have a run for him up this inside here.
And I think Jenkins went too wide. He may lose another position. It looks like Chad Horton. And you know Chad Horton from Felch, Michigan, right down the road. Chad wants to win this race. Golly, wouldn't he just be stoked to sit on top of that podium? He's done it before.
Absolutely. He's got a lot of great fans up here in the Bark River area, and he's obviously had a good past here. He's chasing down Ross Hoke right now, so he just got to play his smart, try to get out front before those Greaves boys start chasing him down.
And Chad Horton's won in the Pro 2-wheel drive, but not yet in the Pro 4-wheel drive here in Bark River. And boy, the front end just lifted. I guess it goes to show you he's on the throttle all the way up the face of that jump.
Yeah, Ross Hoke definitely putting in some good drives this season, making his improvements in that old Johnny Greaves chassis there, that ATD truck, taking the lead for right now. But you know what? Ross has got some company. Chad Horton's not letting him slip very much. As you can see, Ross keeping it nice and tight through the chicane here as he chases down Ross Hoke. He's going to probably run outside. Maybe looks like we'll maybe get an over-under.
And look at that. Cord to that right-hand side. He's going to square it up, try to dive underneath. Will he have the traction? There he goes. He goes underneath. Hook goes too wide. Johnny going over the berm, it looks like, but I think we might have a change for the lead. again, 900 horsepower, hitting that jump, and now Horde is in perfect position to be out in front.
Yeah, Horde gained position, and Ross Hoke just pushed a little wide, and Chad was there to capitalize on it. So you can see he's utilizing this cushion, which you've seen it kind of some water on the inside. He's utilizing where the traction's the best right now. Getting up on that berm, you see Scott Douglas coming into picture, running up that top 3. Looks like he's going to take a shot at Ross Hoke as well.
Scott Douglas paying attention back there in third. You're exactly right. So you're seeing a battle with two different dirt types. You're seeing a little water, a little fluff here, some hard pack in other ones. How do you decide where do you go this early?
Well, this early in the race, you're just chasing the best traction. The water is going to cause you to slide quite a bit. As you can see, Chad's not getting too far away from that cushion. Nice, even traction. He's going along, not going too deep in it, because you can see how that bit Ross Hoke as he's getting past for second right there. But Douglas moving up into that second spot, capitalize on Hoke, getting stuck out in the fluff there. So,
and that's the big thing, though. In a Pro 4-wheel drive, you can usually guard those inside lines because you have all 4 wheels pulling. It's different than your world in the Pro lines.
Absolutely. These guys are able to hold these inside lines. You can see Scott Douglas pitching it way sideways in there, and you know, making the drive up to catch Chad Horde. As we're starting to see CJ climb into that top 5. Don't really see Johnny Greaves anywhere at this moment right now.
He blew over that berm, and he's just trying to make up ground right now. Chad Horde, Scott Douglas, Ross Hook, Mike Jenkins, CJ Greaves, your top 5. Martin Kwame in 6th. Johnny, I have back in 8th. He was some 20-some odd seconds behind that last lap around.
Yeah, it's crazy. We've got a good battle going up here in the front. As you see Ross Hoke holding up very well in this top 3 positions. We got a good battle for 4th going on between Mike Jenkins and CJ Greaves. So
look at the 7 though. He's starting to put some pressure on. Kate Osborne, you have more?
Scott Douglas is out there pushing really hard right now, but he definitely changed something with the truck, and it was the fact that he completely changed into a manual transmission. He's using a 4-speed with that, and it is something that he knows that the guys who have manuals have 6 speeds, but he thinks this is a test, and if it does well, he's going to look into doing 5 or 6-speed manual transmission as well.
So they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I'm not saying he's an old dog, but he's trying some new tricks as we see CJ Greaves and Keegan Kincaid going at it, or excuse me, Mike Jenkins. I see the truck out there, the 47 Mike Jenkins, who come off of that Pro 2-wheel drive. So both of these guys know what the track's going to do because they just did it at race speed.
Absolutely. I think it definitely adds something when you're able to get out there and feel the track for what it is. Mike Jenkins put up a hell of a fight with CJ, who is our defending champion in Pro 4 as he's moving through the field. As he's closing in now on Ross Hoke, he's got that eyes set on the front, trying to close that points gap on his dad, who's the points leader right now.
Well, look at that horsepower. I mean, that looks like he's doing a dance lesson. CJ Greaves the inside, making the pass. He slides in. Ross does not let off and just drives into the back of him. But CJ now takes over position. Let's go to Kate Osborne.
Well, one thing that I was talking to Ross about earlier was the fact that he is getting more seat time, which he said was really important. He said for him, the truck is 95% of it and 5% driver. And he says with this additional seat time, that's why he's running so well. On the flip side, you have CJ Greaves, who when I was talking to him about patience, he says that has been both a strength and a weakness for his entire career. It was a weakness when he was in motocross. He says he didn't actually make the moves he needed to make because there was no caution. But here with TORC, it's great because he can kind of be patient, wait it out through the caution, and then really get after it in the second half.
Thanks, Kate. And if he says it, Ross Hook says 95% truck, 5% driver, CJ's truck's hooked up 99%. And that 1% is just flying as far as the driver. And there's no love lost between these two. We saw them get into it earlier in the year, a little war of words. I think it was in Chicago.
Yeah, well, you can see here, I mean, like you said, you got Scott Douglas, the veteran, and you got the new kid on the block, CJ Greaves, and he's knocking on the door. And Scott's one of those guys, if he doesn't like the way you're driving him, he's not afraid to tell you. And you know, CJ Greaves is, you know, if he's going to come out and drive with men, that's how they're going to handle it. So you can see the way that these two are driving each other. Very clean at the moment, but you know, CJ starts to get a little frustrated, maybe like you're saying, trying to be patient. He might start to get a little rough with Douglas like we've seen in the past.
The fastest lap of the race, Chad Horde, a 1:20.54. CJ Greaves, the second, a 1:20.65. But again, he's one working through traffic. Horde's out with clean air. Now we see CJ. Look how hard he's jumping in, but that truck looks like it's handling. It's going where he wants it to go.
Yeah, CJ's definitely got that truck working very well. You know, him and Johnny have been, like you said, working on that program. And Chad's utilizing that clean air to his advantage, so hopefully he keeps that momentum going after we are coming to the halfway caution. So CJ is trying to push for that pass on Scott Douglas, hopefully put himself in a position to race Horde after we get to this competition.
And I want to point out, look at the top of the screen, Johnny Greaves in 8th place, 52 seconds behind. What has happened to him? He was the series points leader, but as it stands right now, I say he was the points leader because CJ Greaves would actually take over the points lead by 1 point. It's amazing how something can happen in a blink of an eye, and right now it's happening to Johnny. And boy, I'll tell you, there's Chad Horde leading as he comes to the competition caution, but Scott Douglas better not blink an eye because CJ Greaves is all up in his business, and he's trying to make a last-ditch effort before that caution. There goes Horde. There goes Douglas. And CJ Greaves looks like unofficially going to cross in 3rd. And that's the way they'll start for the back half of this race for the Pro 4-wheel drives. And man, get ready for a good one.
When it comes to guarding your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance enthusiasts demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond protection it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Brakes on the left and the right, you got this? Got your brake levers ready? Okay. Go ahead, Cash.
We know dirt.
As you see the support truck, the safety truck out in front leading the field, you notice how Horde is leading Douglas, who's in front of CJ Greaves. The 47 of Jenkins in 4th, Ross Hook in 5th, Mark Kwame in 6th, Mazdik in 7th, and finally is Johnny Greaves. What happened to him? Kate Osborne has more.
Well, unfortunately for Johnny Greaves, who had high expectations for this race, lost his front diff and only has 2-wheel drive.
So without all 4 wheels pulling in the Pro 4-wheel drive, you're not going to go as fast, Luke Johnson.
No, and just like Johnny was saying, losing power steering like we talked about. So with Johnny having 2-wheel drive, the truck is still drivable, not quite as good as having 4, but he is out there for the end game and the points. So he's going to try to get the truck around. Who knows what kind of trouble will ensue with the rest of the trucks out there. So Johnny's going to keep limping the truck around, driving as best as he can. But
there's nothing he can do.
When you lose that front diff, it doesn't just turn into a Pro 2. And I've heard many Pro 4 drivers say that. So he's definitely fighting the truck quite a bit. He still does, by the sounds of it, have power steering, so he's able to stay on that lead lap. So he's just got to keep pushing lap after lap to make sure that he capitalizes on anything that could possibly happen in the second half of the race.
And he's not going to lose any more spots. If he can keep going and other guys do drop out, he might still hold on to that points lead. But yes, as it stands right now, CJ Greaves, who was 2nd in points, would now be the leader by 1 over his father. So not the way Johnny wants his day to end, but hopefully he can keep it going and keep driving out there. We've got a little bit more time to talk here as they get waved around, get to come across one more time. And your dad's texting me, and I'm sure he's texting you or whatever, and he was telling Johnny, I saw in one text he sent, he said, man, chase the cushion.
Yep.
You know, chase the cushion.
You can definitely see, I mean, Chad's been just out of shot for most of the second half because he's had quite the lead, and we've had a really good battle going on behind him. But, you know, he's been doing a good job putting in consistent laps, and hopefully he carries that momentum going into the second half. Like you said, still has the fast lap. We've seen CJ with a hard charge up there to the 3rd position, and Scott Douglas holding down a solid 2nd. But you can see Scott's driving style got a little erratic there before we came up to that mandatory caution, hanging it out sideways, which he does make very entertaining.
As you take a look at the field as we prepare for the second half of this Pro 4-wheel drive, you don't notice the name, the series points leader in the top 5. That's because he sits in 8th. The last driver in the picture, Johnny Greaves, the series points leader, has problems. Kate Osborne has more.
Well, unfortunately for Johnny Greaves, who had high expectations for this race, has broke his front diff and unfortunately now only has 2-wheel drive.
And Luke Johnson, who sits next to me, Luke, it's tough. You've said it before. It's not like having just rear-wheel drive. That front is so crucial, and it can be on, it can be off. It changes the way you steer and drive that truck. It's not easy.
Nope, there's a lot of moving parts, and it doesn't just turn into a Pro 2. But as we go green here, Chad Hort's got the head spot. Hopefully he can keep this run going here for the local boy.
He would love to do that and take a win in Pro 4-wheel drive here. And he's done it in Pro 2, and this place has gone crazy. What's going to happen if he wins Pro 4? He's out in front now, but you're also seeing C.J. Greaves drive around the outside of Scott Douglas, and Douglas charges back. What a race for second.
Scott Douglas putting in a heck of a drive here with C.J. Greaves. It's going to be a tight race. Maybe if these two are battling back and forth, Chad can open up that gap and just keep putting in smooth laps like he has been. Scott not one to turn down a fight as you see him pull back into that second position.
And he gave C.J. a little room, and then C.J. just backed out of it. He talked about patience, and now he's showing that patience. I think C.J. Greaves may have the fastest truck on the track, although Chad Hort has turned the fastest lap of the race. But again, Hort's been out in front and checking out.
That Hort Racing program's been putting in a lot of work to try to put that truck on top of the box, and you can see that work is paying off here. And CJ, like you said, trying to be patient, not doing anything drastic. We got a little bumping door to door, but nothing that's not what you typically see here in TORC Racing. But CJ's gonna maybe some moto lines here, maybe setting up for a cross under the bottom. But like you said, that Pro 4 holding down tight. CJ not able to get quite the run, but this track flows very well, so he can connect maybe a pass here.
Little bobble by Scott Douglas. CJ trying to take advantage, but when you're on the outside, you've got a longer way to drive. And oh man, that is great slide and a controlled slide by both of those drivers. CJ now set up. He's just got to close off Douglas. He's given him quite a bit of room, but this time it looks like he's made the pass.
Yeah, well, Douglas switching over to that manual transmission, which you know Johnny's very famous for running. Definitely giving CJ a run here. So CJ, now that he's finally stuck to pass, he's got about a truck length or two over Douglas to see if he can pull back in our leader, Chad Hort, as he's pulling away in that Amazon Ponte truck.
Chad Hort has had success here, and Kate Osborne, you got more on Chad?
Yeah, for Chad, he was telling me that his strategy for this race was to get out in front. He knows he has a truck to beat. He knows that if you get ahead of the Greaves family, that he could do pretty well. And right now, obviously, sticking to his strategy of getting out front, staying clean, is working out for him.
Although Chad lives just down the road in Felch, Michigan, you know, you don't just necessarily go out and drive at Park River. You don't get all that practice time, but it is home for him. And he won the Pro 2-wheel drive race 2 years ago, back in 2014, and it was an awesome weekend. He's also had some bad times when he just totally wanted that truck as well. What does C.J. Greaves have to do not only to catch Chad Hort, but to get by him?
Well, Chad's definitely running really comfortable right now, and you can see the track going away very blue groove. And he's going to try some different lines as he gets close, but he's going to have to run that cushion, get close, and then attack once he gets there. As you can see, CJ now closing up on that bumper. He's just going to have to be smooth and consistent. Chad hasn't been making very many mistakes, so he's going to just have to be faster.
He also hasn't had the pressure for C.J. Greaves, and finally he gets that pressure.
Chad's won cup races. He's been in lots of pressured spots right now, but you know, that clean air's been an advantage, and CJ doesn't have that right now. The dirt's very heavy as they're chasing that cushion around. As you can see, it's very, very piled up. And CJ dropping back from where he was right on his bumper. So you see about 2 truck length gap. He's trying to size up a new spot and then shoot down in there. As you're going in, he's completely blind right now, and having to back off a little bit.
Your dad talked about it, though. If you're following somebody, you're not going to pass them, but you have to get in that line. If you're close enough, you're not going to quite get that roof, but you've got to make that adjustment. Look at it. Get it all up in the back end. You're blind going over that jump. Now, this little section and head to those S's seems to be a very pivotal part of Park River.
It is. If you can get a good run through these rollers, you can't really double them, but you can see CJ getting to the top of it, getting a good drive. He's going to try looking up the inside where some traction finds himself later in the race. he could possibly get next to Chad here, where he did pass Scott Douglas earlier. So now we're going to go in. Here's a long pendulum turn, headed back into this turn one. Might we see a cross here as he's running the cushion back down to that traction I was talking about that's left on the bottom.
And yes, if he can close him off, pulling up next to him is one thing, but you got to get at least a half a truck on him. This could be it, and it is it. CJ Greaves takes over the lead with 3 laps to go, about to be 2 laps to go, but opens the door.
Don't look to see Chad Horde drop off just yet. You know, definitely has that hometown pride. He's going to give CJ Greaves one hell of a battle here for this last 2 laps of this Pro 4 race.
And CJ's going to maybe have to drive a little bit of a defensive line if Chad Horde's that close to him as well, because if you ride or drive the faster, wider line, you're really opening up that door for a pass.
Absolutely. And Chad took a little early of a shot there. He got close to CJ, but as you can see, cutting across that blue groove, he lost all that ground back. So CJ getting a little close on that inside, maybe making a little mistake. Chad Horde not giving up just yet.
Cooper tire jump. Big jump there. One of the biggest in the sport of short course off-road racing. You're right. That Amsoil number 9 not backing down at Chad Horde. He still has a shot. The next time around, they're going to receive the white flag. CJ likes running the lowest line possible there. It's great as a defensive line, but that's where he was running for a fast line as well.
Yeah, and you can see Chad Horde, watch him go out to this cushion and get a good run down in there. He's going to throw a pendulum and maybe see everyone's running this line. You see CJ going up to that cushion as he goes around, filling Chad Horde's cap full of dirt, not giving up anything. So he's got a cushion of a gap right now for the lead as he comes up to capture this white flag. And Chad Horde's going to really have to pull out all the stops if he's going to reel our leader back in.
The last lap, CJ Greaves turned a 1:18.81. That was the fastest lap of the race by over a second. So that's why you're seeing that differential right there. So making up ground to catch up the field and showing how fast that Max's truck is leaving the field.
Hey, you were definitely right by saying he had the fastest truck on the track. Wasn't necessarily able to highlight that by lap times early on in the race, but definitely showing it here in the later half.
Oh, what happened to Douglas? It looks like he might have a right front, right rear tire going down on him. He's back and forth that last time across the stripe. Yeah, and it's a chipper shredder right now. He is just throwing shrapnel.
We got it's a handful to run it, regardless you got 4 tires spinning or not. But you can see that inner liner going to work for Scott Douglas right now, able to keep something going on that rim.
And the way it stands right now, it is CJ Greaves is right around that points lead bubble. And this is a guy who has already won Pro 2-wheel drive. 6 times he has won the Pro 2 and the Pro 4 on the same day, and the kid is only 21 years old. It's unbelievable. He has 10 wins at Bark River alone in all the classes. This kid is just flying at TORC, the off-road championship.
Yep, CJ putting in one heck of a race.
And taking the victory here in Pro 4. He does it again. A 7-time winner in Pro 2 and 4 on the same day. The Maxxis Tires truck does it again. Number 33 moves first to victory lane.
Brakes on the left and the right. You got this? Get your brake levers ready? Okay. Go ahead, Cash.
Welcome back, everybody. Having a little technical issue there is these fans. Hey, don't go anywhere, people. You're going to get to see some UTVs in just a second. Actually, right up where they're at, you're going to get to see the victory podium or the climb out with the Pro 4-wheel drive. Someone wanted to go get the driver's autograph. It's a fun time here. You got to do that. You won a money race last year, didn't you? Was it? I know you won one, but it was the money. They had an extra kickback.
Yeah, so Sunday we brought home the win and brought home an extra $5,000 thanks to my buddy Doug Matag. He won the day before and picked that prize for me, so I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, you can rub it in old Dougie's face as much as you want. He's not here. Well, maybe get to see Matag, you know, just for insight, we get to see Matag at Crandon, maybe?
That's what I'm hearing, so I hope to see him out there, as well as my other buddy, RJ Anderson, and a few other guys that are coming out from the West Coast. Definitely looking to see some of my neighbors from back home.
It's going to be big. I know Red Bull Signature Series is going to be part of that, for not part of the TORC Series Tour, but a World Cup event after. I know you're sponsored by them. They're putting a lot of effort in that. I think it's going to be huge.
Yes, I think it's going to be great. It's definitely good for the evolution of the sport. So it's good. It's good to see some of these big prize races for us drivers, to put it all on the line, cap the season off, and go off into this off season, going towards the 2017 season with hopefully a big check and some cool prizes as well.
Flipping through my notes here and looking at all the accomplishments that CJ has done. I mean, you know it. You've been there with him. You've seen it.
I've had some great battles with CJ.
How old are you now?
I'm 24, so I'm only 3 years older than CJ. But he entered the class just after I did and had an opportunity to jump up to Pro 4 and Pro 2 as well. And I'm hoping to join him once again here, hopefully in Charlotte and Crandon. And then for the rest of the rest of my career, I suppose, as long as he's racing and I'm racing, we'll be doing some Pro 2 racing together. So look forward to racing him again. Definitely a talented driver and quite the shoe, putting that thing up on top of the box and taking back over the points lead here in Pro 4.
Fans get to come out tomorrow and see another full schedule of racing. I would suggest that they do so. It was a perfect day today, and we still have more racing to go, but a lot of sportsmen out there. Did you ever race as a sportsman?
I did. I raced what they call Super Truck now. At the time was called Sporty 2, which is where old Pro 2 chassis go to retire. And in 2009, I actually got to bring home Rookie of the Year and second place in the points my first year as a sportsman here in the TORC Series.
TORC, the Off-Road Championship, is brought to you by AMSOIL, devoted to protection. Bad Boy Off-Road and their all-new Stampede 900 4x4 side-by-side. And by Kenda Tires, designed for your journey.
There he is, the unstoppable blonde monster. CJ Greaves wins Pro 2-wheel drive and now Pro 4-wheel drive. Kate Osborne's caught up with him.
CJ, 7th time you've won Pro 2 and Pro 4 in the same day. First, congratulations. Second, what did you learn from your Pro 2 race today that you could take into your Pro 4?
That it was going to be slick. I mean, it all came down to just really nursing it. I mean, these things have so much horsepower and four-wheel drive, but you can't use it when you're out there on the black and when you're out there not in the cushion. And some of them other guys, I was just able to get underneath and really soft pedal it, which is unnormal for a Pro 4 is to have to soft pedal it, but that's what you had to do today. And we just really took our time. Scott was really giving us a run for our money, and I finally got by him, and then I knew between Chad and I it was going to be on, and I love racing with him, and I think we kept it pretty clean. We checked up for each other. I think we each checked up for each other a couple times and just really tried to put on a show and race each other hard. And hats off to him and Mike and my crew, my family, Maxxis Tires, Monster Energy, Forest County Potawatomi, Toyota, Method Race Wheels, Fox Shocks, everyone that helps us out. Big thanks to them.
CJ said he wanted to put on a show, and that's exactly what happened. Winner here in Pro 4.
And he just continues to dominate no matter what class he's driving. There's the unofficial results. Taking his second victory in 2 tries here today, and he'll get to regroup and try it at the next round here at Bark River as well. Chad Horton was close. He was out in front for most of this race, emphasis on the most, but he still finishes in second. Kate, nice battle in the back.
Yeah, Chad, you told me earlier today that you wanted to get out in front, you wanted clean air, and that's exactly what you did. Then you had an incredible battle there with CJ where he got you. What did he have on you today?
You know, the second half of that race, as the track started to blue groove, I had trouble keeping my truck on the inside of the track. I kept wanting to go out and run that cushion, and CJ was able to keep his on the bottom of the track. But, you know, just to be here, you know, on the box again for Amsoil and Ponzi Forestry Equipment, Maxxis Tires, Fox Shocks, my crew, we made a lot of changes between the last race and here, just trying to get at these Greaves boys, and we're getting closer, but they've definitely set the mark, but we're gonna track them down.
All right, Chad Horde, second place here in Pro 4.
A smile out of Chad, and it should be smiling CJ Greaves, and he has taken over the points lead, a 2-point advantage between himself and his father. Johnny Greaves now drops to second. Douglas, 18 markers, back in third. Horde and Jenkins rounding out the top 5. But a swap in points and a terrible start to the season in Texas for CJ Greaves. But it just shows you, if you keep at it, good things can happen, and the good things happen to Mike Jenkins. He finishes in third, and look, there's little Mikey.
We do have little Mikey Jr. here. Mike Jenkins, you've 2 podiums today. What a day for you it's been. What has changed about your driving style over the course of the season that's landed you here with 2 podiums?
You know, I think just entering the second class and having some good luck and having a good crew that stayed up and got the trucks ready. We made some changes to the Pro 4 last night, and they helped us out, and we ran a little bit better today in the race. But we've been running pretty consistently, had some good results. We had a 2 and a 3 at Crandon, but that was a Saturday and a Sunday. It's nice to have a 2 and a 3 on today. Of course, we'd like to see the top of that box, but we'll still be trying for it tomorrow.
All right, Mike Jenkins, Mikey Jr., just wanted to say hi. You want to say hi? He just wants to say hi.
Can he be beat? We don't know yet. Congratulations to CJ. He's been killing it.
All right, Mike Jenkins and family, congratulations, 3rd place here in Pro 4.
So yeah, Mini Mikey getting some more camera time, and he gets that because Dad's on top of the box, on top of the podium. It's a long weekend, a lot of racing still to go for TORC, the Off-Road Championship, presented by Amsoil. We've got some UTVs coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
There's a lot of performance hidden in these tires. These tires are insanely good. Selected as a Consumer's Digest Best Buy. If this is what experts thought about Cooper tires, imagine what you'll have to say. They're impressive on all surfaces. Put Cooper tires on your car today.
What would happen if a side-by-side had more power than it ever needed, a smoother ride than ever expected, and as much storage and customization as a pickup truck? Where would you take a side-by-side like that? Where would it take you? Step behind the wheel of the new Bad Boy Stampede 900 4x4 with 80 horsepower and see for yourself what would happen.
As you see the course workers prepare for the last race of the afternoon, the UTVs, they will be running the short course, so they're having to do a little track preparation, a little adjustment there. So that's actually not the part of the track we're showing. That's the long portion of the course. And off in the distance on the left, you have the Luke Johnson turn. Unfortunately for my partner to my left, Luke Johnson, it was not good to you at all today. 2 out of your 3 mishaps. Actually, one of them wasn't a mishap. It was just a little contact with Dinsmore.
Well, we threw a pass in there that I was good for last year, but stuck a pass on Cam Ramers. He actually went to replay on, and tried the same move on Travis Dinsmore, pulled it off clean, and shot across the inside and got me in the door. But you'll have that.
He didn't like it, but I mean, it cost him in that scenario. But we see that a lot, and we talked about at the top of our show about how aggressive it is, and a lot of young drivers, a lot of 20-somethings in the Pro Light division. Where do you go from here? Yeah, there's one old guy in that class too. Where's the Leprechaun?
Leprechaun, well, he hails from Colorado.
No, I'm not just saying. How does this one old fart keep up with all you young guys?
Well, you know what? He isn't one to mess around. I mean, he won.
He's a Marine.
He's a Marine. Won a Pro Buggy Championship, and you know what? He's putting it to us here in this Pro Light class. You know, he's not letting the young guns boss him around, and he's put on a hell of a race. He's had a great season. I'm sure after my mishap today, we're going to be pretty tight for points between him and I. Him coming up from 5th and me and I was sitting in 3rd going into today's race. So
yeah, you lost 2 spots.
So I'm 5th now?
Yeah.
You know what that means, right, Robbie Floyd? I get to start on the pole tomorrow.
Did you see that silver lining around that dark cloud?
You know what? Sometimes things don't pan out. The season's been a little rough for me for sure, but we try to make the best of it. So whether it's making goofy side bets and just trying to stay positive moving forward. We've had our share of bad luck, that's for sure. But my team's been working hard. My sponsors have been sticking behind me through all the ups and downs of this, and hopefully tomorrow. This is my track. I love it here, and today it bit me, but you know what? There's always tomorrow.
You do get to see tomorrow, and tomorrow, much like today, I'm quite sure a lot of people will be going towards Sean Morris's pit because it's all one big happy family at TORC, and especially a big family around the Morrises.
For Sean Morris Off-Road Race Team, the pit is not just a place for its truck, but it's actually their home for the weekend, and we're about to go invade one of their big family-style dinners. Come on, let's see what's cooking. It smells good, and it's taco night around here, which is so cool. I want to talk about the family environment, that your guys' team puts out, and it's not just you, it's the whole off-road community. It's one big family, but you really are the mom, you're the girlfriend, you're the cook, you really manage everything, and that's exactly what these boys need in order to be kept together.
Yeah, I can't imagine a team that doesn't have a race mom or a race wife that comes and helps all of this be coordinated. We live on the road together, we all eat, sleep, and breathe in this trailer together. We've become one big family for every race weekend, so all summer long we get to spend together and doing what we love.
Well, like I said, I really hope these guys know how lucky they are to have a woman who comes in here, make sure this place is taken care of, someone to run it. They better say thank you. So, Sean, one of the things I find so cool about your team is you kind of walk in here and it feels like a family environment, and I've thought that from the beginning. Why is it so special to you that you guys have a family atmosphere?
Part of our whole family atmosphere is these are like my extended family. I come from Colorado, and I met the Van Hoovels when I was back in the Super Buggy days 8 years ago when I first started this team. It's amazing, how much they put in it for me, because this is really just for my team, and they're so unselfish. With these guys, they make it more of just a family atmosphere.
It smells amazing. I'm so pumped that they've invited me to join their family dinner. You guys have anything else you want to say to Amanda?
Thanks, Amanda.
Guys, it's been Kate in the pit.
Oh, man, to get some love. And I was about to point it out. I mean, she's like the backbone to that, that group right there.
Keeps Leprechaun in line, that's for sure. But
makes me hungry.
They both actually opened up their pit to me last year when I was at a chance of possibly not racing at all. So it definitely shows not only outside of the family that I've acquired this weekend with the Tyrese, but at one point Sean Morris has put a roof over my head. So very thankful for having people like them. Amanda's always one to be the hostess with the mostest, having coffee in the morning or whatever you need. She's always got it. Especially
can I get something to eat, something to drink? They're always asking.
Candy on the table.
Good karma, and it paid off. I mean, she was cheering the loudest probably at the last round in Minnesota. Leprechaun getting his second victory, had that one at Crandon, and then there. And I don't know if she was as teary-eyed as Sean was, but Sean's emotional.
After the ups and downs that Sean's had, and I'm pretty sure if I get on top of the podium tomorrow, you'll probably see some tears out of me as well. The last couple of races have been rough on me, and Sean's been no stranger to being upside down like I have been. His truck, I believe the team's counting tallies on it. I think it's old enough to buy a beer at this point. But
and Ken Mike kind of lost his stuff too. He forgot to put on sunblock, and he got extreme sun exposure this past week.
That's rough.
He was Krusty the Clown this week. It was not
all
good.
Pink.
Yeah, not good. So we got a little bit of time. They're trying to prep for the UTVs. Going to see some mod carts as well as the stock carts. And the one thing about the stock and the mods is that I thought it's unbelievable. Which should be faster? You race moto. You see Loretta's, Ponca City, World Mini, whatever. The mods are always faster than the stocks. Except for the UTVs.
Except for the UTVs. You know what? Like I said, I came from UTV racing, and you have the multiple manufacturers. You got Polaris, Yamaha. You have all these players involved, and out here we're seeing the Yamaha and the Polaris battle back and forth, and they both make great quality products. But it's all, I think, as well, not only the UTV but the driver. They're so evenly matched. But off the shelf, these are some amazing vehicles and a quick and easy way to get yourself racing.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with the person whose hand's on that wheel and their foot's on that throttle. So that had a little something to do with it. It had a lot to do with the drivers in the Pro 4-wheel drive. Let's take a look back at the highlights of the race that just happened just a few short moments ago. Green flag waved, and We saw Chad Hort move into the lead pretty darn quick. Ross Hook was fast, but that front end kept flying, and eventually kind of flew off the track for just a little bit.
Pushing wide, getting eaten up by that heavy fluff on the outside. Chad Hort able to capitalize and lead this first half of our race.
Then you see CJ Greaves starting to work his way up through the pack. He was second in championship points coming into this race. Ross Hook didn't want to let off. That slide job wasn't going to work.
Yeah, amazing.
He's lucky.
Tire didn't go down.
Isn't it though? I mean, that should have popped that left rear, but it didn't. And CJ motored on.
Yeah, we saw a great battle with Scott Douglas and CJ Greaves. Neither one of them given an inch, but it was CJ Greaves who ended up sticking the pass here in the Pro 4 class and eventually chasing down Chad Hort for that win. Chad Hort not giving up either, all the way to that checkered flag.
CJ on that outside, as soon as he got that half a truck and he got that grip, that forward bite, he just took off and left them. Had the fastest lap of the race, a 1:18.81 back on lap 7. That was 1.2 seconds quicker than Chad Hort on that particular lap. If you're in professional racing, I mean, tenths seems like a lifetime.
Absolutely.
1.2 seconds is unbelievable. We had two guys at the top of their game.
They've definitely got that Pro 4 figured out in the Greaves pit. CJ, like you said, you called it early on in the race. He moved through the pack very, very, very quickly. He did start in the 6th position. So doing that, he moved his way up onto the top of the podium, and he will be starting 6th again tomorrow because he's moved into the, actually he started 5th today. I apologize.
Right.
He starts
same
6th.
row.
Same row, other side. So him and Johnny get to flip-flop spots for tomorrow as we invert tomorrow's starting order, which will be interesting to see. Hopefully Johnny Greaves keep that 4-wheel drive spinning instead of dropping back to 2 wheels like we said. Doesn't turn it into a Pro 2, it just turns it into a little pushy mess out there. But he was able to salvage it, only losing a couple points to CJ, so that's definitely good for them battling on the championship.
Let's find out what Kate Osborne has. She's roaming the pits out there. She's somewhere. Kate, where are you at?
I'm right now trying to pull up on my phone this amazing selfie that I took with CJ earlier.
It's amazing.
Can you guys, it's amazing, isn't it? No, so this is his happy hat, he's calling it. He wore it around ERX. I saw it earlier today.
That's the one he mows the yard in.
Well, I think he does everything in it. I think it's absolutely amazing, and I think he's really enjoyed it. And I asked him about it. I said, you guys, I said, this is something that I find extremely interesting. And he goes, I go, where did you come up with happy hat? He goes, I'm telling you what, everybody who sees me in this hat, they smile, they laugh. It's a happy hat. I said, hey, whatever works. And obviously, him wearing it here around the track is working out for him.
I need to borrow that hat from my grandmother when she's mowing the yard. Luke,
definitely got a lot of coverage.
I hear we have some social media stuff. That was a Mama San hat. I like that. Social media question. Blaze Kuhn, what Pro 2-wheel drive will Luke be driving? Yeah, and Crandon, you say you have one.
I have one. And possibly in Charlotte. We're still working on funding for Charlotte's program, but I bought a truck from Jeff Seifert, originally built by Keith Stamper, fantastic fabricator. You see a couple of his trucks out there in the Pro 2 class currently. And so we bought it back in December, looking to, haven't nailed down the title sponsorship on it yet, but where I call home for the summer is Anago, Wisconsin, and the lovely people over at Langlade Ford have actually stepped up as one of the first people to help support that program. So I'm very thankful for them and their contribution to my program moving forward to help me make this next jump in my career.
Maybe we get Spider Lights to step up their program, or I see those people.
Spider and Red Bull are a part of my program as a whole. They will definitely be represented properly on that truck as well. But as we are right now, obviously had a rough weekend here, so budget's tightening up just quite a little bit.
Oh, man. And not to mention your trailer was parked on the side of the road back in Minnesota too, so we've got to get the axles under that. All right, Kate Osborne, you got a question or?
Yeah, we do. Kevin Zuran wants to know if we have plans, TORC has plans to come to the Northeast. And I will say, yes, we do. It is a long-term goal. We know that there is a great fan base up there. We'd love to be up there sooner than later, so be on the lookout sometime in the near future.
Hey, when you're from Texas like I am, I'm in the Northeast. This is north and east from where I'm at. We're in right at the edge of the Eastern time zone. The next state up is Canada.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't set your phone, if you don't set yourself on the right time zone here, your phone will actually jump back and forth. If you break a tire off coming over that big hill, or I guess coming through my turn, your tire will head off into another time zone. It's actually a joke from back in the day when Jimmy Johnson, NASCAR champion, had a testing accident here, sent a tire across the road into another time zone. So fun fact about here at Bark River.
What about Jimmy Johnson?
he was testing here, and a tire broke off his Pro 2 at the time, coming into the graveyard turn. And the tire actually went into another time zone, because right here at Bark River, your phone will actually jump back and forth if you pay attention to it.
Yeah,
so,
I do.
So
wait, hey, you're the one. You're the. So what's been blowing up as we prepare for the UTVs? What's been blowing up more for you? Twitter, Instagram, Facebook?
I'm a little bit more in tune with Instagram. I'm trying to get better on Twitter. My sponsors like Cooper Tires and stuff like that, very active on there. But I'm open to getting questions on my Twitter account. Anytime I'm approached with questions on Twitter, I'm always open to talk with the fans. I love it. I have my athlete page as well on Facebook.
You're going to work with me tomorrow, right? As well, do the same thing. So okay, maybe you have a question for Luke, just like Kate Osborne has.
Yeah, you know, remember, we want to hear from you on the broadcast, so send us your questions via Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat even. We have people on there sending us questions, and Facebook. But Luke, I have a question for you. I know that you have a background that is pretty incredible for a driver. You know, not all that you know is from your dad, Ricky. Where did you get your education and your fabrication skills?
You can't tell Ricky that.
Yeah, well, you know, my dad definitely taught me a lot when it comes to the driving side of things. But with getting into short course off-road racing, there's a lot of fabrication going on, and I admire a lot of guys like you know, Jeff Kincaid and Johnny Greaves, who have, you know, worked and built on their own trucks, and that's something I aspire to do. So going into the 2014 season, I actually attended the Fab School in Southern California, where I learned how to weld and fabricate and do a lot of the stuff that we did on the truck during the off season. So I've actually removed a lot of the back half of the truck and reorganized it, and you know, got some more functionality out of the truck in the last 2 seasons. So that's something that I really love and enjoy doing, is tweaking and tuning on the truck, giving a little bit of you know, getting to weld and stuff like that. I picked up Lincoln Welders as a sponsor this off season, and they've been a huge help with my fabricating, and some of the tools that I do have were a little bit outdated, so they've definitely helped me out with plasma cutters, TIG welders, MIG welders. They have some amazing products, and it all came because I wore a multicam suit at the SEMA show this past year. It opened up an opportunity for me to talk with one of the head marketing guys, and here we are.
Multicam, one of your sponsors as well, doing a lot of color. But when you said you went to the Fab School in California, I thought fabulous. I was like, where did that? It was something totally different. I didn't know you were talking about welding.
Fabrication.
Gotcha.
Finish that word. It definitely could be many different kinds of fab, but
it was fab.
It was fab.
Yeah, and you do some nice welding. I see it. And you can come out and check out some of Luke's fine work on the LJ14.
I'm going to have some work when I step out of this booth.
Hey, UTV is about to roll as we talk about, you know, Multicab is one of your sponsors, and I don't want to hit that, but they do a lot of stuff for the military, and I'd like to thank them for everything they do and help keep our soldiers as safe as possible with all their color prints that go on the military uniforms. And you're actually wearing a pair right now?
Yeah, I am wearing a pair of the pants, very comfortable, and they are doing some cool stuff with me this year. We are doing a fundraiser to help some of the people that they put clothes on. So if you go to my Instagram page, there's a link to the GoFundMe page. We're actually trying to raise some money for those families that are going over and protecting our country. So that's something cool I get to do with the Multicam brand. And I'm very proud to be a part of that. There, you know, I get to help with what I have for a fan base to hopefully help raise some money for these awesome families.
Looking at the Pro UTV classes, both the stock and the mods in the Pro class, Scott Decker had won the first or the second round of the first races we went to at Elk River. It was third and first. That give him the lead in points as far as the pros. The top of the screen will have your favorite drivers. field should be Travis Pointer out of Belpre, Ohio, in the mods, but out in front should be the stock UTVs. We'll see who can get the start. Again, the stocks will take off in front of the mods, and they are running an abbreviated course, the short course. All I know is green flag means go, and it's time to go here in the UTVs.
As you can see, we got some open wheel racing, so you won't see quite as much banging door to door, but it does happen here in the UTVs. Look like we got our leaders stretching it out here.
You say that. You say that. Just when you say that, you know somebody's going to go just hammer into each other.
Yeah, well, it's not quite as easy. It's much like a pro buggy, which I am used to racing here at this track. You can see they got Nerf bars to try to keep the tires from getting tangled up, but you get door-to-door action going too much, you start climbing each other, because these are four-wheel drive machines. So you get them tangled up, they will start climbing.
Find your favorite driver up at the top, and it's hard with these guys. And also the 8-inch numbers, and I believe that's Weller. It looks like, yes, for sure.
Moving to third.
And you notice, guys, how much easier it is to identify as Weller when it says Weller's blazing across the front of the roll cage like that. It makes it so much easier.
Yes, you see these other cars don't have quite the roof lip on there, but they're using those 6-inch letters across the front. You can see that.
I think they're 4.
Yeah, maybe 4. I don't know. We got 4 to 6-inch numbers on the front of on the pro lights, but in that very vivid white and blue car, stands out very well. Looks like we got some teammates battling up here for the lead right in front of Corey Weller. Looks like they tie each other up here.
The 989.
Capitalize on these two.
Yeah, Jason Luberg in the 989. And I cannot quite get the other driver. I think that might be the guy that flipped when we were in Minnesota. He was in the same type of UTV as well. And it's really tough. There's more red in the one in second, so I'll have to identify which one's which. We got the Luberg and Reed in second. Yeah, 989, 988. So yes, they must be teammates.
Weller using that outside line, trying to close the gap. You can see coming up here on the back of the 988 of Reed, trying to make a move. Lost a little ground there coming into that rhythm section, but now these guys are a little bit spread out. So I know some of these guys, you see Weller making a run up here into the top 3. They're going to have a halfway caution after 4 laps here, and maybe take a shot at that lead in the honey badger, as they call it.
Yeah, Luberg out in front, Reed in second place. Jordy Reed out of Balsam Lake, Wisconsin, on the Bikeman Performance Polaris. Luberg, a winner again, was tied in points in the stock UTV. A winner also in the Bikeman Performance GBC tire Polaris out of Zanesville, Ohio. And Weller now closing in on Reed.
So we see our leader actually in the mod class coming up here. It looks like the 4th position overall behind Weller, making a run around the outside. Definitely got that extra power, like you're saying. You know, sometimes it's the driver, sometimes it's the machine. You can see this mod machine making its way up towards the front of the field.
Horsepower never hurts in my book, Luke Johnson. And you see Weller maybe getting past now, yes, on the outside.
That mod machine just eating up that cushion out there, but it seems to be slowing it down quite a bit. You see Corey Weller keeping it nice and tight across that inside. Oh, getting a little swapped up.
Yeah, so the mod is Pointer that's in 4th place. It's 4th position. It's in an overall picture, but in actual racing in class, it's not.
He's got one heck of a lead. Oh, throwing it up on the bike, just barely missing that wall. Needs to calm down, possibly get himself regrouped. I mean, he's got quite the lead, so maybe he can get to the lead overall and get around these front 3 stock pro vehicles in front of him.
Luberg, Reed, Weller, Pointer, Shimmick in the top 5 now. Shimmick about 6.5 seconds behind. And with these buggies, they'll still have that competition caution. I call them buggies, but with these UTVs, they still will have that competition caution. So even they're as tight as you would think they could get, or not for the lead, but you know they're going to really be nose to tail here in one more lap.
Yeah, and as you can see, Pointer in that pro mod trying to make a look on the inside after he lost a bunch of ground the lap before out there in the fluff, trying to give Corey Weller a run for money coming down here into turn number 1.
Pointer is back and forth. Luberg is just checking out over a 3.5 second lead right now.
Yeah, he's working, and we can see at the edge of the camera line there we got a lapper.
There's second, 3rd is Weller, 4th is Pointer, Shimmick and Martin also far in the mix as well. 6, 7, and 8. Whoa, I like the middle guy. And the competition caution's coming out. The guy who was in the middle, I think he's going past both of those guys. All in one move. Comp caution is out. Luberg, Reed, Weller, Pointer, Farr moves up to 5th that time. Shimmick drops back to 7th. Martin in between in the 7-1-8. Decker in 8th, the 8-1-9.
Wonder what we got going on here. We got a stop vehicle in the right in front of Weller there. That was the.
I'm just letting her cool down.
I don't read through in a neutral there for a little bit to post up. I'm not really sure what was going on, but definitely got a good battle heating up here in this. Well, at least for a second, we got our leader's been checked out there.
I think they're playing cat and mouse, Luke. They're playing the Reed and Weller. They were just holding back,
putting on the show.
Yeah, you're not going to win it the first half of the race, but boy, you can lose it. So I think you're going to take a full little caution lap here to regroup the drivers. Yeah, as far as mod carts go, they're in 4th, 5th, 8th, and 11th. And I give them a whole nother name again because these aren't carts. They're not buggies. They're UTVs. But in the mod UTVs, 4th, 5th, 8th, and 11th in the overall picture. But Luberg on a stock, Reed, Weller, those top 3 competitors all on stock machinery, somewhat stock.
There are stock. Well, I mean, there are some modifications. You can see that they'll move the radiator up to the window to try to keep some of the mud from plugging it up and overheating these vehicles, as well as an aftermarket cage. So.
As we look at Travis Pointer from Belpre, Ohio.
So you see
the kicker crash addict.
Yeah, these guys got a little bit more motor work and stuff like that. You look from the outside, they seem to look just about the same as the other ones, but you see they'll have a little bit more motor work and things like that. Turbos are available, which puts them into the mod class, which I believe is what Pointer has there.
They would have to be, turbo or superchargers have to be in the mod division.
Although it does come from the manufacturer with the turbo from Polaris, they offer with or without. But to be in the stock class, you have to be naturally aspirated, and that's what you see these front
using all you're using all my big words, Luke. You can't just throw out normally aspirated like that without warning me, man. I was planning on using that one. I had it written down.
I'm sorry.
Just messing with you. And there is the.
I gotta make a good impression, Robbie. It's my first time in the booth with you, so I'm trying to.
You're doing great.
Keep trying to make sure that. I mean, I don't want to take a job away from my dad, but I'll give it a swing.
Keep it up. Keep it up. Luberg out in front. He's going to lead the field. And you would think Luberg and Reed, those UTVs would probably be pretty evenly compared. Pointer is in 4th. It looks like he has the same type of UTV, but he is in a mod. In between him is Corey Weller. Corey Weller tied for points.
So the thing you'll notice, there actually won't be able to notice, is there's a difference between these Yamahas and the Polaris. The Polaris, you put the thing in drive and it takes off, but Corey Weller's actually shifting that Yamaha inside there. So there is a little bit of difference from manufacturer to manufacturer. So as we take off here, our leader just checking right out again. And they're all off to the races here. We got some people trying. We got Pointer looking. We got someone else.
I see Weller going from out to in, and luckily she didn't go too far out. Oh, yellow now goes to green. Look at that, the battle for 2nd place. Weller's going to move into 2nd. Push wide, Clyder. He's going to drive around you. She's giving a lot of room. And this is a lady who's driven. There you go. There's that. I told you it was going to happen, Luke Johnson.
Yeah, straight wheel to wheel. They didn't climb each other.
There's a caution. Yeah. But it happened. They'll have to go back to that last lap. Because unless it's just a local caution. I'm not seeing any yellow flags.
I'm not seeing any yellow flags. I'm not seeing
keep racing.
And anyone slow down either.
And they have communications inside their helmets as well, possibly. So no, they are staying green. So that was just in that one spot. So Corey Weller's now moved up into 2nd overall, 2nd in class as well in the stock UTV, and she's out of Chandler, Arizona. The first woman, I believe, in Lucas Oil to race a Pro 4 in Mexico.
That is correct. Yes, she did. Quite a career that she's put on, and now she's showing these boys what's up in the side-by-sides. You can see our mod leader, I believe that's Pointer, moved up in the 3rd place overall. He's quite all over the place right now, but he's getting another run here at Corey Weller, even though it's not for position in class. He's trying to get that overall and get up to the front.
Yeah, and take over the points lead would be Luberg, who's got checked out of this one. I mean, over 2 seconds ahead. What's up with Luberg? You think he's got, he's got some fast action going on that as Corey Weller gets past. Now Pointer moves up another spot.
Yeah, they got similar matching cars. You know, we got the stock and the mod, but we also are seeing some lappers come into play. So that definitely does get interesting. So you know that it's going to slow down our lead vehicle a little bit. Hopefully Corey Weller can get up there and make things interesting coming to that checkered flag.
If that holds up Blueberg and he lets everybody else by, yeah, that could be a big advantage for second, third, and fourth. And yeah, second place Weller, or third place Weller, is going to get caught now. The one lap driver in between.
So the advantage to be in the second and third person past the lap vehicle is they now anticipate a faster field coming, so you can see that lapper giving Corey Weller some room there. That first guy's really got to work at it. Sometimes you know, those lap vehicles will stay right in the race line and make it just as difficult for you, but that's good on that lap vehicle getting out of the way to let the race that's going on up front continue. Corey Weller, you see, still putting in a solid drive here, maybe falling back just a little bit from our leader.
Yeah, but Lundberg actually lost ground as well. The guy out in front had a 2.5, almost 3-second lead over Pointer, and Pointer now right around 1 second. So lap traffic's going to play a factor. 2 laps to go in this race, or about a lap and a half actually left to go in this UTV combined race of stock and modifieds. There's third and fourth. And the white flag is out.
Weller's still holding down that third spot. Martin coming into camera behind her, but we see our leader Luberg right here putting it down in the stock class, and I believe his teammate not too far behind him, that mod cart, trying to chase him down for that first overall spot on the track, coming from behind those guys. So we're coming up to the checkered flag. We got some more lap traffic.
Oh, where'd you come from? Came out of nowhere.
Came out of nowhere. That Arctic Cat looking a little bit off pace there as these Razors slide on by. Corey Weller just out of shot there, and our fourth place driver as well.
So in the stock UTVs, Luberg, Weller, Martin, your top three, Shimmick in fourth, but here it is, another win, and now he's the outright points leader. How about it? Jason Luberg can win in Minnesota. He does the same thing in Michigan, and we'll get to hear from him as well as Pointer when we come back, because he's the winner in the mods. Travis Pointer, your victor.
There's a lot of performance hidden in these tires. These tires are insanely good. Selected as a Consumer's Digest Best Buy. If this is what experts thought about Cooper tires, imagine what you'll have to say. They're impressive on all surfaces. Put Cooper tires on your car today.
What would happen if a side-by-side had more power than it ever needed, a smoother ride than ever expected, and as much storage and customization as a pickup truck? Where would you take a side-by-side like that? Where would it take you? Step behind the wheel of the new Bad Boy Stampede 900 4x4 with 80 horsepower. See what would happen if you had more power than you knew what to do with. Explore with it, take command with it, go camping in it, hunting in it, run your farm, your ranch, or rip up any off-road trail. Because we didn't push every limit of engineering and design to see what a side-by-side was capable of. We did it to find out what you're capable of. This is the Stampede from Bad Boy. Get yours and find out what would happen. See it in action at badboystampede.com.
TORC, the Off-Road Championship, is brought to you by Aturo Tire, the tire with the style you want and the performance you need. Rugged Radios, the authority in communications. Akamai, faster, forward. And by Vision Wheel, from high-speed desert racing in Baja to short course carnage, Vision has arrived.
An exciting pro UTV in the mods and the stocks, and then again we get to see a stock competitor beat the mods, but it was a little closer this time. The mod of Pointer charging in through there, but you know, Luberg, he had something special was going on in that machine.
He's got that stock UTV figured out. You know, I'm not sure exactly what they have going on, but they do have it going on, that's for sure. So to see two teammates in two different classes finish 1 and 2 overall is definitely impressive to see. Also good to see Corey Weller back on the podium as well, not letting Luberg get too far out on this points chase.
Yeah, she does good. If I look through my standings to the right, 2nd place overall was a mod, 6th place, 8th, 10th, and 11th, but really run by stock. And you know, and for you, Guy, and your tires and Cooper tires, it's really good because you get to show stock equipment and how it performs. Just like with your tire, you have to run an OEM tire, so every time you go out there and win, you say, hey, my tire did great. It's the same thing for the stocks.
Absolutely, yes, because as much as these are race vehicles, they are recreational for a lot of our fans here, and also that are our viewers online. They have these UTVs at home, so they see the products that are ended up on the podium. Just like when we win and get on the podium with Cooper tires, these people can go home and buy them for their own vehicles and drive away, as well as what you see these awesome UTV drivers putting these things up on top of the box, putting it up there for Polaris, for Yamaha, for Arctic Cat, Can-Am, all these players in the UTV class coming out here and showing what they've got.
We see you in one too, because I hear some of the guys that run the trucks in the UTVs. If somebody loaned you theirs, you'd race it, wouldn't you?
I'll take it a swing. I mean, if at Crandon you want to see me run 3 classes,
your buddy
I'm all
RJ,
about
you're
it.
telling me your buddy RJ doesn't have a spare UTV? I've seen him on a video or two, and you know he has to have extras.
Yeah, I've also seen the outtakes. A couple of those don't
they don't make it
all the way to the end.
They don't survive.
RJ is definitely one talented driver, but not all those Polaris racers made it to the end. He definitely had to push the limits and find out what that Polaris could take.
And some of the structures they build probably don't make it either.
No. But you know what, the guys over at Mad Media and Polaris Razor, along with RJ Anderson, put on a fantastic show over the multiple videos that they've broken the internet. But he's definitely done a great job with those and the Polaris brand.
All right, leads us towards tonight. I'm going to go to the store, buy you a bag of ice to keep all the stuff cool in there. And I know you'll come back tomorrow. Before we get to tomorrow, we have to pay off today. And Jason Luberg, a winner, now the points leader for the stock division of the UTVs. He's exiting the vehicle, and we've had 3 races so far. And Mr. Luberg has won 2 of those. Yep, smile on his face.
Quite a big victory for you. This track style is very different than what you're used to driving, and it kind of suited your driving style. Why?
I really enjoy stuff like that. It's more technical. The more turns there are, the more technical it gets. I just really enjoy tracks that, make you do more, make you work harder.
Well, there you have it. Jason Luberg, the winner here in Pro Stock and Pro UTV.
Yeah, he did.
What do you say? 3 races, he wins 2 of them, and he's points leader as well.
Yeah,
so I'd be happy.
He's 2 for 3. Yeah, it's definitely puts him in a good spot, and he definitely looked like he was liking that track out there. He stretched his lead out not once but twice after we saw that mandatory caution come in. So
there's something about that. I don't know if it's a line or something the way that his UTV's hooked up a little better than the rest. Because I mean, it's tough to leave somebody that quick, that fast.
Absolutely, but we saw the UTVs enter at ERX, and it's the first time that the rest of us pro teams got a chance to see these guys. So I don't know many of them personally, but we do have our mod winner,
Travis Pointer. Kate Osborne has it.
Yeah, this is a great win for you, Travis. This is one of those things that you really had to maneuver your way through the pack, both with pro stocks and pro mods, to get up to the top. How difficult was it really?
With the shortened track, it definitely made it a lot more difficult. There was several pro stocks this time as compared to Elk River as a much smaller class. It definitely made it more exciting, more fun. Everybody was super clean. All the pro stock guys drove real professional. If they had a wheel on me, I let them by. If I had the wheel, they let me by. So it was really good, clean racing. It just made it a lot of fun, actually.
Travis Pointer, winner here in the Pro Mod, Pro UTV at Bark River.
Well, it's been a long day, a little too long for you not to end up on the podium. I've got so much stuff going on, so much traffic going on in my head. The one thing I do know is we're going to be back tomorrow for more TORC racing. 4 o'clock for the pros.
I will be up here for Pro 4 and Pro UTV once again to join you.
10:30, I've been told. She cuts out, our producer's talking to me. 10:30 for Sportsman tomorrow. You going to watch some Sportsman? TORCseries.com. You going to be watching at least on that or on YouTube?
Or on YouTube, or I might join our boy Scott Rain that's outside in the booth and do some broadcasting as well before I get in here and do Pro 4 and Pro UTV once again with you, Robbie Floyd.
And that's you can see him at the 10 o'clock hour, and then we'll have Johnny Greaves out there. So for Luke Johnson, Johnny Greaves, my other partner up here in the booth, as well as Kate Osborne, I'm Robbie Floyd. Bark River 1 is done. The throwdown in the UP Part 2 is mañana. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.